Hey hunters! Welcome back to another new fanfic, we the only cult on YouTube dedicated exclusively to HunterxHunter audiobooks. Y'all already heard this intro a few dozen times, so let's keep it short. Today we have HunterxHunter Reborn with Crazy Potential. Special warning on this one. I thought this was interesting because the author wrote it in first person. And we follow the main character in, well, first person. Try to give it a chance lol and tell me in the comments what you think of it. And of course, check out the author and the original work in the description. And show them some love. Also check the community tab. We're not bots endlessly begging for subs. We actually post stuff there, so yay. If you like the audiobooks, a like on the vid would help. Also of course sub if you're not already and officially become an hunter. And, yay, that's it. Let's dive in now. Peace. Love y'all. Headphone emoji, blue heart emoji. Chapter 1. My name is Lucas, and I am a genius kid. I never knew my mom. I was told she died giving birth to me in the hospital. I didn't get to know my dad either. He passed away in a car accident, speeding to the hospital, trying to be there when I was born. Since they're both dead, I've been living in an orphanage in Salisbury, New York, for as long as I can remember. It's not so bad. Life has its ups and downs, but I've learned to manage. By the time I was 4, I was used to it. Also, I'm 7 years old and in 11th grade. Yeah, high school. Most kids my age are just trying to figure themselves out. But me? I'm different. People call me a genius. A once-in-a-lifetime kind of kid. I have an eidetic memory, so anything I see or read stays with me, etched into my mind like it's carved there forever. My life's pretty simple: wake up, eat, go to school, learn something, come home, watch TV, eat again, and sleep. There's only one problem with being a genius in high school: some bullies want me to do their work for them. They're all Neanderthals who only care about getting into the top tier of their respective sports. It's fine, though. I want to go to Oxford, and they have no chance of following me there. Currently, I'm walking to school like I always do. It's only a few blocks from the orphanage, so it's no big deal. Snow's falling thick, the way it does in December. The wind cuts through me, sharp and biting, so I pull my coat tighter. Almost there. Just a little further. Then, a snowplow comes rushing down the street, too fast for these icy conditions. I don't have time to react before it buries me. A wall of snow smashes into me, at least 6 feet of it. My lungs burn with the need for air, but there's nothing but snow, suffocating and cold. There's a sharp pain in my chest, like something's been ripped open, then finally, the world goes black. I'm not dead. At least. Not quite. I can open my eyes, but everything's blurry. Strange. A blurry figure is in front of me. It feels like there's a presence looming over me, and I feel it start to cradle me, like a baby. I try to focus through the fog of confusion, through the haze of pain. There's a man cradling me, watching me with an unsettling grin. His hair is long and tied back, his face covered in a thick beard. His skin is marked with an X-shaped scar running across his forehead and cheeks. He's dressed in a green robe, the kind you'd see in old books, with a red belt wrapped around his waist. Something about him feels familiar, though I can't quite place why. I reach for the memory, but it slips away before I can grasp it. He leans closer, his grin widening as he looks down at me. Well, look who's finally awake. His voice isn't comforting, but there's something in the way he speaks, like he's amused by my confusion, like this moment is exactly what he expected. I can't speak. Can't even think straight. My body is too weak, too small, and my senses are overwhelmed. I can barely process what's happening, but somehow I feel something. Something tingling and shifting inside me. A strange sensation floods me. It's like when your leg falls asleep, but it's my whole body. There's a feeling of energy, raw and powerful, crackling through the air. The air is thick, charged with something beyond understanding. Then I feel it, inside me, an unfamiliar presence. An aura, rising. It's not just around me. It's part of me. My body reacts instinctively, rising in response, pulling at the energy, trying to match its power. The man's grin deepens. He watches me with a knowing look, like he's waiting for something to click. Suddenly, a wave of heat rushes through me. It's sharp, like a jolt of electricity, but not painful. The tingling sensation persists, and now it feels like something inside me is shifting. I can feel it now, the power swirling, the connections forming. And then, as if I'm coming to some kind of understanding, he speaks again. His voice is a whisper that cuts through the thick, charged air. Ha ha ha. Soon, the world will know the name Lucas Netero. But for now, they'll call you the 10th Prince of the Kakan Empire. Lucas Hawaii Guoru. The words don't quite make sense, like a riddle I can't solve, but they linger in the air, wrapping around my mind, leaving an echo I can't shake. Then there's another presence. A woman steps forward, standing just out of reach but close enough that I can sense her. She's tall, her blonde hair short and sharp, her features regal. She looks at me with a gaze that's somehow both distant and intensely focused, like she can see right through me. Her clothes are royal, fitting someone of high status. I try to focus on her, to understand who she is, but it doesn't come to me. I feel like there's a memory slipping just out of reach, something too big to hold onto in my current state. And then, it hits me. This is no dream. No afterlife. I'm in HunterxHunter. The woman's name. Unma Hawaii Guoru. The first queen of the Kakan Empire. Is she my new mother? Wait, beyond Netero. The man standing over me. Is he my father? The realization sinks in, heavy and suffocating. Panic surges within me, but I can't even fully process it. How is this possible? How can I be here, in this world, as this? A newborn. Vulnerable. Small. With no idea how to survive. But one thing's clear, I need to get out. I need to escape before I get caught up in whatever tangled mess awaits me here. But for now, I'm too small. Too weak. I don't know how to get away. The woman stares down at me. Her eyes are sharp and calculating, but she doesn't move. The man, beyond, looks down at me, his expression unreadable. And then, with a final chuckle and a wide grin, he says, "No matter what path you follow, you will end up shaking the world someday soon." Chapter 2. I'm 5 now, and for the past 4 years, I've been experimenting with my aura. It's been strange, to say the least, figuring out how to release it from my body and shape it into all sorts of forms. Sometimes I turn it into numbers, other times into shapes or figures. I've even created things that aren't physical, like the objects Biscuit used in Greed Island to test Gon and Killua's reaction times with Gyo. I've been pushing myself, testing my limits, trying to see how far I can go. I'm sitting on the floor now, hands outstretched, with my rattle in my left hand as I concentrate. My rattle is in front of me, encased in Nen. I close my eyes, focusing on the flow, the pressure. I feel it settle. "You're still doing that?" A voice cuts through my concentration. I open my eyes to find my elder brother, Saradnik, standing in the doorway. I shrug, not looking up. I'm just practicing. "You've been doing whatever that is, since before you could walk," he says with a smirk. "You look crazy sitting there with a baby rattle, just sitting with your eyes closed." "I'm fine," I reply. His expression softens, just for a moment. "Come on, why don't you go to the Royal Military School with the rest of us? It's fun. I just broke the record on the weapons field stripping and reassembly drill." "I'm not done yet," I mutter under my breath. "I've got a lot more to do. I've also been teaching myself other Nen techniques. I've mastered Ten, Zetsu, and Ren. I've even figured out how to use encasing objects in Nen is easy now, like my rattle, which I wrap in Nen with Shu. I've been concentrating my aura on different parts of my body using Gyo. Now that it's becoming second nature, I may even move on to trying out Ko. Come on, Luki. You've just sat there for so long, and yet you still keep going, Saradnik says, crossing his arms. A big child like you shouldn't be this obsessed with that rattle. You're not 2 years old, you know. I look up, meeting his eyes while pouting. I'm doing something, so just go away. You're a child. Why don't you get toys instead of a rattle? He laughs. You shouldn't be alone in this room, just sitting here and doing whatever. Come do drills outside with me or have some fun with kids around your age. I narrow my eyes. You're one to talk, you idiot. I heard you bundled yourself up in a room for a week until you broke that record. He tilts his head, lips curling into a smile. Indeed. Then he finally leaves. Now I'm able to completely focus on the Nen that's wrapped around my rattle. It hums lightly, the energy almost pulsing in my hands. I finally got it. I put 80% of my aura into my hand and then into the rattle. Now that I've completed what I was trying for, I can start learning other things. As the years pass, I train. I started learning martial arts, not moving on to another style until I could fight head-to-head with even Benjamin. I begin with karate to build a strong foundation, then move through the other styles. It's about discipline. My body needs to be able to handle the tougher techniques down the line, like Killua's Rhythm Echo or the 50-kilogram yo-yos he used in Greed Island. The guy could even push open the Zoldyck family's 16-ton testing gate before ever touching Nen. So yeah, physical fitness is key. It's been 11 years since I arrived here. One day, as I'm finishing up some basic kata in karate, Benjamin walks into the training hall, watching me for a moment. Still going at it, he comments. How long do you plan to keep training like this? Until I'm good enough to beat you, I answer, wiping the sweat from my brow. And then what? Benjamin asks. I'm going to master everything, I say, my voice steady. I'll ask for permission to train in assassination techniques, and I want teachers for karate, judo, aikido, taekwondo, and Shingon-ryu. I'll master them all, until I can beat you with each of them. He raises an eyebrow and chuckles. I'll be waiting. I glance at him, challenging. You don't think I can do it? He pauses, then lets out a low chuckle. I'm over 15 years older than you, Luki. After 5 years of constant discipline, I've almost mastered every basic and advanced Nen technique, except for Ko and Atsu. I need to develop my own, something practical for combat. But before I can do that, I need to figure out my aura type. I've finally decided, tonight, I will test myself. I set up the glass of water, filling it to the brim. I carefully place a leaf on the surface, taking a deep breath and holding it, transferring aura into the glass. Then, the water starts to shift. It turns dark purple, and a black ring forms around it. The leaf. The leaf is shredded into pieces, torn apart as if it were paper. I stare, eyes wide. I can't help but smile. Specialist. There's no other explanation. None of the other types, transmutation, conjuration, emission, enhancement, or manipulation, would cause something like this. Specialization is the best category to be in. It lets me use all the other Nen types. The catch is that my enhancement won't be as strong, so hand-to-hand combat won't be my top strength. But that's fine. I've trained enough. Even though my enhancement is only about 40% as effective as an enhancer's, it's still enough to hold my own against a mid-tier hunter. I know my Nen pool is larger than normal. It's probably because I've been training since I was born, or maybe it's just my genetics as a Netero. Either way, I'm ahead of the curve. I'll be ready for anything once I'm older. Chapter 3. I'm 12 now. 7 years of relentless training. Every waking hour has been spent refining my Hatsu, pushing my body to its limits, and adapting to every combat situation I could think of. Martial arts and strategy games like Stratego, Risk, Chess, and Shogi have become second nature to me. They sharpen my mind, teach me how to read a battlefield, and help me control the flow of a fight. In the past year, I've taken things even further. Now, I'm immune to most poisons. I can fight through nearly any pain. And strength? I'm pretty sure I can lift 5 to 10 tons, 10,000 to 20,000 pounds, without breaking a sweat. But above all, I've focused on my aura control, giving me extended N. I can switch between different Ryo percentages like flipping a switch. I've also learned to transition between Zetsu and Ko in a flash. Gon and Killua are 2 years younger than me, so I have some time before things really take off. But I'm getting bored of this restless training with no real fights. It's time to leave this castle behind and head somewhere like Heaven Arena. I need battle experience, and maybe I can make some cash while I'm at it. The only problem? I stand out. My hair's this weird whitish gray, spiky mess, and my eyes? Ocean blue. I look a lot like Killua, and since we're close in age, people might mistake me for his brother. But honestly, I don't even know where my hair comes from. My mom's blonde, and my dad had black hair. I guess maybe Gramps, he had very white blonde hair when he was younger. I lean back in my chair, running a hand through my hair. Maybe I'll just alter my appearance. The thought flits through my mind, and a smirk tugs at my lips. I've seen people do it before, like Bon Clay in One Piece, with his main no Mi. If he can do it, why can't I find some way? I could probably mimic something like that. Maybe I can't change my face exactly, but I could create a technique like texture surprise and copy someone else's appearance. It's tempting, but there's a catch. For a Hatsu that powerful, I would need restrictions. Having the power to change my face and body at will would be crazy or exhausting without limitations. Still, I am a specialist, I mutter to myself, turning over the idea. Creating new nen abilities comes naturally to me. Most people can only develop 1 or 2 abilities, focusing all their energy on one skill, or their enhancers, but their aura types don't match up for efficient nen use. People like Grandpa Netero? They don't have to worry about that. Their insane aura reserves are enough to cover everything. But me? I need to be strategic. I pause, rubbing my chin. I can't afford to burn out. My most developed Hatsu is shadow puppetry, my second original ability. With it, I can control shadows within a 100-meter radius of my body, turning them into weapons or even cloaking myself in them, using manipulation and transmutation to control and shape them, while also making them mimic any substance. It's similar to what Gecko Moria does in One Piece, or how the Nara clan uses shadows in Naruto. There are a few sub-Hatsu I've created using the concepts behind shadow puppetry. First is Shadow Phantoms, where I can conjure phantoms from shadows. These phantoms are created using emission to control the aura away from my body, conjuration to form them, transmutation to alter their properties, and manipulation to direct their complex movements. Once they've done their job, I absorb them back into my body, gaining their memories. Second is shadow sculpting. Like the phantoms, it uses emission, conjuration, transmutation, and manipulation, but for different ends. I can create solid objects out of shadows and use aura to power them. I connect all the different nen affinities using specialization, and if I want, I can use enhancement to make my shadows insanely durable or razor sharp. I lean forward, an idea forming in my head, shadow transfiguration. It's simple enough. I can coat an object, living or not, in shadows and reshape it into something new. But the shadow must cover the entire object, so no shrinking things down smaller than the original. I'd use emission, manipulation, and transmutation to get this done. Should be relatively simple. Perfect. I smile, already picturing how it'll work. Tomorrow, I'll have my phantoms scout the palace. Find the guard posts, the best escape routes. There's just one problem, my ability has a major restriction. I can't control shadows farther than 100 meters away. So, my phantoms have to stay close. A sudden knock on the door makes me jump. Come in. I call, not missing a beat. The door creaks open, and Serednik steps in with a small grin. You're always in here thinking, he says, leaning against the doorframe. You sure you're not getting bored of all this training? I smirk, leaning back in my chair. You know me, Serednik. I don't get bored. I just keep improving. He raises an eyebrow. Is that so? You've been at it for, what, 7 years now? You've already beat Benjamin, making you the best prince at martial arts. I know, but I want to get stronger. I want to become the strongest in the whole world, I reply, tapping my fingers on the desk. He blinks, surprised. What? I nod, grinning. I'll become the best martial artist in the world, for sure. Serednik looks dumbfounded for a moment, then says, Hey. You truly are my little brother, aren't you? Not stopping till you're the best. Absolutely, I say with confidence. I've got it all planned out. He leans closer, still skeptical. So how much stronger have you gotten? I'm not going to tell you that, Tsuru. You just try and be better. Serednik shrugs, though I can tell he knows I'm right. Sure, I would. I chuckle. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I'm going to become the strongest. He grins. You always were a crazy one. Thanks for the vote of confidence, I reply, before turning back to training as he leaves the room. Later, when night falls, everything is set. I kill a guard, making it look like a heart attack, and stay within 100 meters of the body, hidden, using my other shadows to blend into the surroundings. The plan works. The guards don't suspect a thing. I stay a little longer than I'd hoped, waiting for the cremation of the body, but I'm still out quickly. Heading for Kakinport City, northwest of the palace. The real freedom starts now. Chapter 4. On my way to Kakinport City, I focus on my sub-ability, shadow sculpting, a form of shadow puppetry. I concentrate, and my shadow stretches, darkens, and shifts until it forms into an ATV. I fuel it with Nen, watching as it hums to life, its speed increasing with every drop of aura I feed it. The faster it goes, the faster I get to Heaven's Arena. Honestly, shadow puppetry is an excellent primary Hatsu. I get why most Nen users stick to just one. It's much easier to build sub-abilities around a single Hatsu than to juggle multiple ones. The versatility of a well-developed Hatsu's sub-abilities in battle is limitless. Still, I'm working on my third Hatsu. Lately, I've been inspired by Itachi Uchiha's techniques from Naruto, trying to recreate his Tsukiyomi Genjutsu using Nen. Every attempt so far has hit a wall, frustrating. None of the versions I've developed can match the real thing. I'm beginning to think it's impossible, but I'm not giving up. Maybe I can craft something close, a weaker version, like Kurenai's demonic illusions, such as tree-binding death or hell-viewing technique. Or even something like Togurama's Bringer of Darkness combined with false surroundings, anything to throw off my opponent's senses. As I near Heaven's Arena, I shift focus. There's money to be made and experience to gain. The buzz of the arena is palpable even from a distance, the air thick with the tension of countless battles. Hisoka is probably going to fight Castro soon, but I'm not concerned with that right now. The boat ride is smooth, and I've made good progress on using Nen for Genjutsu. But I know I'll need at least 2 restrictions to make it work. I could limit who I target or restrict when I cast it. I'm leaning toward requiring line of sight, maybe even direct contact, to fully trap someone in the inner world. For something as powerful as Tsukiyomi, I'll need some intense limitations. I don't even need to warm up until the 150th floor. The first few floors are easy, barely a challenge. I don't use even a fraction of my strength. But then I hit a wall. The guy on the 150th floor is good. Skilled in martial arts to the point where he unknowingly applies all 4 basic Nen principles. Not a prodigy, but enough of a challenge to make me work for the win. I barely break a sweat, using a little more than 1/10 of my strength. Still, that's nothing compared to what I'm truly capable of. I don't even use Nen. If I did, he'd be done in seconds. I keep climbing, floors 151 through 190, earning money with every fight. By the time I hit the 190th floor, I've accumulated a hefty 211,050,152 Jenny. Over the next 5 months, I continue my streak, even facing off against fighters on the 200th floor. Most of them don't know Nen, or they're extremely unskilled in its application, just like Guido and his crew from the main series. But then, one day, I spot someone familiar. A young man with black hair styled into a pompadour, wearing a white overcoat with golden rings, baggy white pants, and black dress shoes. It's Knuckle. He looks younger, maybe 18? I suppress my aura with Zetsu, step forward, and raise an eyebrow. You're Knuckle, right? I call out, voice low. He looks up, blinking in surprise. His eyes narrow as he studies me. Yeah? His grin widens. Who are you? You seem familiar. I give him a knowing look. I'm a small fighter on the 200th floor. I pause, letting the words settle. I've seen some of your fights. You're good. You up for a match tomorrow? Knuckle raises an eyebrow, looking me over. Huh? Are you sure? I count myself as pretty strong. He looks skeptical for a moment, then shrugs. You sure you're ready? I don't hold back. He cracks his knuckles, the grin never fading. I laugh, a touch of arrogance creeping in. Neither do I. We meet in the arena the next day. The crowd is small, Knuckle isn't well known yet, and I've mostly fought low-tier opponents. I'm not trying to draw attention, especially with Hisoka still lurking after his fight with Castro months ago. As soon as the bell rings, I move. In an instant, I send my shadow toward Knuckle. It slithers across the ground like a living thing, stretching, curling, waiting to strike. Knuckle doesn't see it coming. I guess this is before he's been in 1,000 fights. He shifts his stance, eyes narrowing. Fast, he mutters, a hint of admiration in his voice. I close the distance quickly, but Knuckle isn't just standing there. He sidesteps, footwork sharp and deliberate, dodging my first strike. He looks surprised, and he should be. I look weak, but I'm going at half my full speed. Not bad, I call out, grinning. But I'm just getting started. He cracks a smile, then suddenly lunges forward, aiming a punch straight at my face. I dodge, but he's fast. Too fast for only half speed. His fist grazes my cheek, but I feel nothing. The last time I was hit like that was years ago against Benjamin, just before I beat him. I pull back, recalculating until Hikaware appears beside me, displaying the number 200. My shadow is still in the game, creeping closer, but I need to be smarter. I've got a ton of aura, but if he hits me again and Hikaware starts building up aura debt, I could be in trouble. I underestimated him. He's younger than he is in canon, but Knuckles already more skilled than I expected. Nice, I say. But it'll take more than that to take me down. Knuckles' grin widens. You think you can keep up with me? I've been in my fair share of scrapes. He's not wrong. He moves with precision, almost like he's reading my next move. I shift my focus back to my shadow, pulling it behind him. He doesn't seem to notice, he's too focused on me. Just the way I want it. I charge, feint left, then whip to the right, aiming a punch at his ribs. He sidesteps just in time. But that's not the real attack. My shadow grabs his ankle, binding him for a split second, just enough to throw off his balance. Before he can recover, I launch into a spinning kick. The heel of my boot slams into his chest. He grunts, stumbling back, but doesn't fall. I land lightly, eyes locked onto the fading hookaware. Not bad, he says. I'm not finished. My shadow strikes again, faster this time. I guide it with precision, every movement planned to catch him off guard. It strikes, binding both legs. The crowd murmurs, unsure what to expect next. Knuckles' eyes widen. So that's your game, huh? He grins through clenched teeth. You think you can win with tricks like that? I don't respond. I'm already moving. My shadow and I attack in tandem. But Knuckles ready this time. He throws his fists back, punching the shadow before it can grab him. That's more like it, I say, impressed. I gather a burst of Nen, letting it leak out around my fists. Time to go full speed. I rush him again. When he dodges, I drop into a low kick, sweeping at his legs. He sees it, but he's too slow. The kick lands. He stumbles. I don't wait. My shadow lashes forward, wrapping around his torso and yanking him toward me with brutal force. Gotcha, I growl. With a growl of his own, he channels aura into his arms, striking my now tangible shadow. He lands on his feet, breathing heavy, a look of respect in his eyes. You're making this interesting, he mutters. Knuckle might not be a prodigy, but he's damn good. He's fighting with everything he's got. I up the stakes. My shadow explodes forward, binding his arms and legs. I pour more aura into it. He struggles, but the hold tightens. He's trapped. I'm done holding back, I say, voice steady, heart racing. Knuckle glares, eyes fierce. I step in and land a swift punch to his midsection. The blow knocks the wind out of him, sending him crashing to the floor. I wait, watching. But Knuckle doesn't get up. He stays down, gasping. The crowd falls silent. I offer my hand, smirk fading. You were great, Knuckle. He looks up, a slow grin forming. You too. Didn't expect you to be this powerful. I help him up. He pats my back, clearly winded. You're a hell of a fighter. Next time, though? I'll win. I chuckle. We'll see about that. The crowd finally applauds, scattered, but sincere. I nod to Knuckle and offer a small bow. Good fight, I say, stepping back. Chapter 5. For the past year, I've been on the 200th floor, fighting off newcomers. Unfortunately, I've still drawn the attention of one particular battle clown. Some of my opponents are familiar faces from canon, like Guido, Knuckle, Sadaso, and Riovelt. Right now, I'm just one victory away from challenging a floor master. I've been turning down Hisoka's offers. Truth is, I want to explore the world a bit before the Hunter exam. And who knows when the next rookie will make it this far? Not many ever reach the 200th floor. Over the last year, I've worked a lot on my speed and perfected my third Hatsu, Celestial Mirage, a form of genjutsu. It's not perfect. It requires intense focus on every detail or it falls apart, and the target has to be within my line of sight. I've got more Hatsu ideas in the works, but they'll take time. Most of my energy this year has gone into aura control, training my Nen affinities through shadow manipulation, expanding my N radius, and improving my speed. Right now, I think I'm ready to become a floor master. Next time Hisoka offers to fight, I'm going to accept. He's my best bet for becoming a floor master quickly, so I can go out and recruit for the Mafia family I've been planning. So, when I finally ran into him in the hallway, leaning casually against the wall with that trademark grin, I knew what was coming. So, Lucas, he says, eyes gleaming with mischief, I think it's time we have a match. What do you say? I don't even hesitate. All right, Hisoka, I reply, a smirk tugging at the corner of my mouth. Now, Hisoka's been announced, and I'm stepping onto the platform for our fight. My plan is simple, shadow manipulation, similar to what I used against Knuckle, but more refined. I need to end this quickly. If I don't, I'll lose. Hisoka might not have the strongest Hatsu, but bungee gum? That stuff is versatile. It can adapt to just about anything short of a nuke. Before the match begins, I try to subtly manipulate his shadow, setting up a quick victory. But just as I move, I catch the briefest flicker in his eyes. They drop, almost knowingly, as if to say, I see what you're doing. The announcer calls out, begin. I spring into action. But dang it, Hisoka has already jumped to the far corner of the arena, without even a scratch. I still have the advantage. I know his fighting style. He doesn't know mine, aside from my shadow manipulation, which he just saw. I cover myself with shadow armor, and Hisoka reacts immediately, leaping away, clearly expecting something. My heart pounds as I rush him, my genjutsu layout already forming. I imagine myself blinking next to him, landing a punch before he can react. Hisoka's in my line of sight. I cast my genjutsu. I see the look in his eyes, he's fighting a version of me only he can see. But Hisoka's no fool. He bursts his aura and I can feel it, my genjutsu starts cracking. He senses my nen and pinpoints where I am. Taking advantage of his momentary confusion, I close the distance, ready to land a shadow-enhanced punch. But Hisoka's quick. His aura flares, and in a blink, he knows exactly where I'm coming from. My punch lands, but as I try to retract my arm, something sticky and elastic grabs it. Bungee gum. I try to slice through it with a shadow knife, but it doesn't tear. Dang it. Before I can recover, Hisoka pulls me toward him, delivering a brutal punch to my solar plexus. I gasp, the air knocked out of me. Before I can even think, he pulls me again. His fists land like battering rams, each one harder than the last. My shadow armor and pain resistance dull it to about 5% of what a normal person would feel, but it's still enough to send shockwaves through my body. Hisoka's final punch sends me flying. I'm airborne, but I don't waste a second. Gyo. I scan my body for bungee gum strands. My stomach drops. There are 8 of them, attached to nen-enhanced playing cards, closing in from every direction. I try manipulating the shadows around me to cut the strands, but Hisoka's aura is too strong and refined. I need to focus my blade, but I only have time to block 7 of them. I cut and dodge most, but one slips through, slicing into my arm deep enough to draw blood. Pain flares, but there's no time. The fight's slipping away. Hisoka's experience is showing, and I'm starting to feel it. But I've still got one move left. A big one. I've kept it hidden, even before I mastered shadow puppetry. It's powerful, but it comes at a terrible cost. It drains 75% of my aura just to activate. Once it's done, I won't be able to keep fighting, maybe not even stay conscious. But I have no choice. If I don't win now, the fight is over. The ability is called the Domain of Infinite Possibilities. I can control both my body and all non-living objects within a limited range, however far my N reaches. Currently, that's about 130 meters. In this tiny arena, I should last maybe a minute, probably less. I activate it, pushing my N to a 30-meter radius to buy more time. Hisoka notices the shift and goes on guard. His instincts are sharp. The arena warps. My nen swirls around me, the air crackling with power. The audience gasps as Hisoka's feet are swallowed by the arena floor, and I teleport beside him, landing punch after punch, too fast for the audience to react. But just as I deactivate the domain, I see it. Hisoka twitches a finger. I use Gyo to scan above me. My heart sinks. There's a bungee gum strand attached to a card hanging from the ceiling. It's coming down fast. This is it. Exhaustion weighs me down, but I force myself to move, just enough to the left, bracing for impact. The card rips through the air, heading straight for me. And then everything goes blurry. My body feels numb, like I'm sinking into oblivion. My heart stops when I glance at my arm. Where's my arm? Panic floods through me. My vision swims. A nurse walks in, and I croak, "Where's my arm?" She looks at me, calm as ever. "It's in a box next to your bed." A cold sweat breaks out on my forehead. "How long have I been out?" 3 hours, she answers, steady and clinical. 3 hours? I try sitting up, but the pain is too much. I lie back down, feeling nothing where my arm once was. After a while, when I finally have all the answers I need, I slowly get up. My movements are shaky and unsteady, but I leave the hospital. The weight of everything presses down on me, but there's one thing I need to do. I make a call. Then I return to my room to wait. Chapter 6. I wait a few minutes, then hear a knock at my door. I open it, and there stands a short, striking woman with messy pink hair tied up. Her piercing blue eyes scan me, sizing me up in an instant. She's dressed like a modern-day kunoichi, sleek, practical, and ready for anything. She crosses her arms, her gaze hard as steel. "Are you the one who called about the missing arm?" she asks, her voice gruff. I nod. "Yeah." Without a second thought, she steps inside, brushing past me like she owns the place. "Let's talk business. Then I can stitch it back together. So, it'll be 40 million Jenny for the right arm, and another 5 million for the stitching." I reach into my pocket, pull out a thick stack of cash, and hand it over without hesitation. "Seems fair." She pockets the money with a nod, her eyes sharp. "You're not just paying for my skill," she says, "but for the rarity of this work. Not many can regrow an arm, let alone find someone else to do it." I roll up my sleeve, revealing the stump. She doesn't even flinch. Her hands move with precision, the needle and thread weaving through my skin. She glances up, her eyes briefly meeting mine. "You're lucky," she mutters, a hint of surprise in her voice. "Not many survive a fight with that idiot Hisaka and live to talk about it, unless he's intrigued." I smirk, teeth flashing. Luck had nothing to do with it. It was all about technique. She raises an eyebrow but says nothing, fingers working quickly. "Well, whatever you did, it worked. I've seen fighters fall apart from one blow from that clown. You must be stronger than you look." She finishes stitching me up and steps back. "There. Good as new. For now." Hours pass as I sit in quiet contemplation. My mind races with possibilities, new ideas blooming with every thought. Watching Maki's hands move with such ease, I realize I could do something similar, take what I've learned so far and turn it into something even stronger. I could combine the Hatsu I've been training with another I've been developing, one meant for when I have subordinates to command. Lately, my mind's been consumed with bigger plans. Becoming a mafia boss feels within reach, soon. It's a long game, but I'll play it. Then there's the succession war. The thought of stepping into it makes my pulse quicken. The more I think about it, the more appealing it becomes. By then, I should be strong enough to tear through the other princes, clearing the way for my own future. But for now, I have to focus on what's right in front of me. I stand up, pacing the room, my thoughts sharpening. Becoming a floor master seems like the next logical step. But which one should I challenge? The name Kanjiro comes to mind. "Kanjiro," I mutter, a smirk tugging at my lips. He's the most annoying, stupid-looking floor master I know. And from what I've seen in the movie, he's weak. Catfish tendrils, those fleshy ropes he shoots from his mouth. In the movie, they barely cracked the floor. A joke. It's going to be an easy ticket. I look out the window at the city below. A determined smile curls on my lips. I'll challenge him. It's the perfect time. Finally, the day arrives. As the challenge begins, I waste no time. I charge straight at Kanjiro, moving faster than he can react. My foot barely touches the ground as I close the distance in an instant. He stumbles back, wide-eyed, and tries to shoot out his catfish tendrils, those ridiculous, flailing ropes of flesh he calls a hatsu. The tendrils whip through the air, but they're slow. I weave through them with ease, barely breaking stride. He looks surprised. Honestly, I'm not. I've seen the movie. These things are a joke. In one fluid motion, I drop into a low stance and unleash a shadow-enhanced punch. My fist collides with Kanjiro's face before he even has time to blink. The impact is clean and quick. He doesn't even get a chance to react. His body goes limp, his face caving in from the force, and he crashes to the ground in a crumpled heap. One punch. That's it. I stand over him, unfazed, as the crowd watches in stunned silence. I glance around at the onlookers, a cold smile tugging at the corner of my lips. Is this the level of the floor masters? I say, voice laced with scorn. Most of these masters couldn't even take down a kid that's been trained decently. I give Kanjiro's unconscious body a half-hearted kick, just to make sure he's out cold. With Kanjiro's defeat, I'm officially a floor master. I stand tall, feeling nothing more than mild amusement. It was too easy, but that's exactly what I wanted. Now that I've claimed the title, I can focus on what really matters, refining my nen mastery. After catching my breath, I start planning my next move. I should lay low for now, train, maybe even recruit a few good people while I'm at it. But even that doesn't satisfy me. My mind's already moving forward. I'll create a mafia family, then recruit in Meteor City. The Gordo Desert stretches before me, the heat intense but bearable. As I walk, I can't stop thinking about my new Hatsu concept, Strings of Fate. It hits me like a lightning bolt, inspired by Maki's string manipulation. The idea of weaving my own strings, crafted through conjuration and manipulation, into my subordinates, using them to track their life force. A twisted grin spreads across my face. If they die, I'll know instantly. And if they betray me? They won't just die. They'll be crushed from the inside out. Instantly. I think of Doflamingo from One Piece, his strings, and a new idea begins to form. What if I could use these strings to create a compass? One that could locate anyone with a string of fate inside them, like a Vivre card? Perfect. But even as the idea unfolds, I know there must be a catch. Nothing ever comes that easy, I mutter. There would have to be a restriction. I pause, already considering the details. For something this powerful, I'd need to be upfront with anyone I use it on. They'll have to agree willingly, or it won't work. After a long, grueling walk through the desert, I finally find myself face to face with the Gudundan tribe. They call themselves the Dancing Warriors, and from what I've heard, their battle techniques are based on rhythm, movement, and coordination. They pride themselves on being unpredictable in combat, using dance to both evade and strike with precision. But I'm not here to watch them dance. I'm here to break them down, show them what true strength looks like, and build them back up as my mafia faction. I step into the center of their camp, eyes scanning the gathered warriors. The leader, an older man with a beard that flows like the winds of battle, meets my gaze. He doesn't speak. Just watches. Waiting. Join me, and together we will rule the world, I say to the elder. Some of the younger boys snicker. I go on. Let me show you what I can do. If you're impressed, join me. If not, you all die. With a sudden burst of nen in my legs, I launch forward. My movements are swift, so fast that the first few warriors in my path can't even track me. Before they realize I'm there, I slam my fist into the ground. The earth cracks beneath me, sending shockwaves that knock several of them off their feet. The tribe members step back. But I see the gleam in their eyes, recognition. Not just fear, but understanding. They know power when they see it. Living near a place like Meteor City, they have too. I shift my stance, crouching low, muscles coiled. The ground trembles beneath me. With a flash, I shoot toward their leader. The air bends around me as I stop inches in front of him. He hasn't even blinked. Before he can react, I extend a hand and grip his shoulder, hard enough to leave a mark, but not to break bone. A silent challenge. A message. I don't need to dance to strike, I tell him, voice low. You think rhythm makes you strong? Let me show you how a real warrior moves. I release him. He stands there a moment, blinking, caught off guard by my presence. I could have crushed him, but I didn't. That's not the point. The other tribe members circle in. The tension in the air is electric. They know I'm not just some wandering fighter. I step back. Let me show you something else. This is the power I can offer. With a flick of my fingers, I conjure a series of shadow tendrils, sharp, quick as snakes. They whip through the air, trailing black energy. They move in perfect coordination, slicing just past the tribe members. A demonstration of control, of precision. The warriors watch, captivated. They're no longer seeing just brute strength, they're seeing versatility. Deadliness. When I finish, the tendrils vanish. My expression remains calm. I could have killed every last one of you. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to offer something more. I turn to the leader, locking eyes. Join me. And you'll be more than warriors dancing to the spirits. You'll be part of something greater. For a long moment, he says nothing. Just watches. But I feel it. The tension. The shift. They understand. Finally, he nods. You've shown me enough. We will follow you. Chapter 7. After my time in Meteor City, I set my sights on Whale Island. I arrive at the docks just as the Kainmaru comes into view, and I can feel the excitement rising in my chest. I know exactly where the exams are held, but if I'm lucky, maybe I'll get to know Gon and the rest of the original cast aboard the Kainmaru. As the boat docks, I step on with him and a few others. The sea breeze stings my face as we board the passenger ship. I glance around the deck and see Gon practically vibrating with energy, waving like a madman at someone on the coast. It takes me a second, but then I realize it's his Aunt Mito. I watch him nearly topple over from the exaggerated way he's flailing his arms, and I can't help but smirk. A couple of other passengers shoot him irritated glares, but Gon's too oblivious to notice. His smile is so wide and genuine, it's like he's trying to send Mito a signal from the heavens. It's almost contagious. I can't help but grin too. The kid's got a charm to him, that's for sure. The Kainmaru rocks gently in the waves, and I decide it's as good a time as any to introduce myself. I've been watching Gon interact with everyone around him, and there's this warmth to him that's hard to ignore. I take a deep breath, gather my thoughts, and walk over just as he finishes waving. Hey, what's your name? I ask, trying to keep it casual, but there's a spark of curiosity in my voice. Gon turns toward me, and that grin of his only gets wider. He's got that look like he hasn't seen anything bad in the world yet, like everything is new and exciting. I'm Gon, he says, almost like he's announcing it to the whole ship. Then he tilts his head, studying me. And you are? Lucas, I reply, keeping it light. I couldn't help but notice how enthusiastic you are. So that woman, is she your mom? Gon's eyes go wide, and he shakes his head with that innocent expression. No, that's Aunt Mito. He sounds so proud of that fact, like it's the most normal thing in the world. I chuckle, amused by his energy. Ah, got it. So, you look young. What made you decide to take the hunter exam? The question barely leaves my mouth before Gon is off, spilling his story like it's second nature. My dad's a hunter, he starts, like that's all the explanation anyone needs. He left when I was little, and I don't even know where he is, but I'm gonna find him. I want to be a great hunter, just like him. His words come fast, but there's so much fire in them that it's impossible not to believe him. I blink, taking in the raw determination in his voice. This kid doesn't have a single doubt in his mind that he'll find Jing. Hours pass. The ship starts to pitch as the waves grow rougher. The sky darkens, and I can feel a storm brewing. No way this trip is going to be smooth sailing. I decide I'll sleep on the mizzenmast. It's quieter up there, and the higher I am, the less water I get splashed with. Plus, it's surprisingly comfortable, even with the storm coming in. When I wake up, the storm's in full force. I look around and realize it's just me, Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio still standing. The rest of the passengers must have either been knocked out by the storm or given into seasickness. Tatsuo, a guy I saw earlier, is hauling buckets to the hull, looking like he's about to collapse, but still going. A few minutes later, the captain steps onto the deck. His eyes are sharp as he surveys the chaos. After a long look, he gives us a nod of approval. "You four handled the storm well," he says. "The others? Not so much." Then he calls out the rest of the crew and passengers, scolding them for not holding it together. Afterward, he pulls us into his quarters for questioning. The air feels heavy. "Names first," the captain orders. We introduce ourselves one by one, and then he gets to the point. "Why do you want to become a hunter?" His voice is steady, but his gaze is sharp, analyzing every one of us. Gon answers without hesitation. "My dad's a hunter," he says plainly, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. The captain's eyes widen slightly. He's recognized the name, Jing Freaks. Even here, that name carries weight. When it's my turn, I keep it simple. "Freedom," I say, and leave it at that. Leorio doesn't give a straight answer. Instead, he throws his arms up, nearly yelling. "If you aren't an examiner, you can't tell us what to do." His voice carries that fiery edge, and he looks like he's ready to fight. The captain's calm doesn't help. Kurapika remains silent, his eyes narrowed. He clearly isn't ready to share his reasons yet. Eventually, the captain reveals he is a pre-examiner. He warns them that if they don't answer, they'll fail. That's when Leorio shouts, "Money." Kurapika finally opens up about the Phantom Troop and the destruction of his clan. Tension builds fast. Leorio snaps, angry that Kurapika didn't call him Mr. Leorio, and makes an ugly comment about the Cortaa clan. Things get heated fast, and they take the argument outside. While the two idiots fight, the ship hits a waterspout. Suddenly, we're in a frenzy to keep it afloat. Katsuo nearly falls off the ship after getting flung by a rope. His side had failed to grab it in time. Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio manage to save him, just like in the manga. Because of their quick actions, we all pass the captain's test and earn his approval. As we dock in Dole Harbor in the Kokanyu Kingdom, the old captain pulls Gon and me aside. He says he wants to speak to us privately for passing the test legitimately. We step off to the side, next to the ship. That's when an ugly, teenage-looking kid tries to eavesdrop on our conversation. I've never liked peepers, so I kick the crate he's hiding behind, right onto his head. Just like that, he's out cold. Failed. Gon, of course, asks. Is he going to be alright? I shrug. He's only passed out. Don't worry, Gon. But I know better. A crate that heavy? On the head? He's lucky if he's not dead. It's not like I'm calling for help. The captain tells us to head to the cedar tree at the top of the hill behind the city. That's where the real exam begins. As we go find Kurapika and Leorio, Gon starts telling me his life story again. He doesn't realize he's repeating himself, so he goes through it all like it's the first time. As expected, Leorio doesn't believe the captain's warning about the buses to Zaban City, until another applicant mentions that none of them ever made it. We've barely walked 200 feet when Leorio comes running after us, yelling, "Wait! Wait!" and trying to pretend he didn't want us to go alone. We keep walking, and I use the time to share a bit about myself. I tell them I've trained in martial arts since I was a kid and that I'm a floor master at Heaven's Arena. Both Leorio and Kurapika are visibly surprised. "You're a lot tougher than you look," Kurapika observes, giving me a once-over. I chuckle. Well, looks don't always equal strength. Eventually, we come across an abandoned town. It's eerily quiet, until a crow caws, followed by the creak of a door. People in white robes and strange masks emerge, pushing a wooden stage into the center. Standing on it is an old woman. Her gray hair is tied back, her face a maze of wrinkles, and she looks like she might collapse if someone breathed too hard. She grins, revealing just 2 teeth. "Exiting," she murmurs, then suddenly screams. Time for the exiting 2-choice quiz. Some horrible music blares, loud and obnoxious, and she glares at us. "Are you boys going to the cedar tree on top of the hill?" We stay silent. That grin widens. "To get there, you must go through this town. And to do that, you must pass my quiz." "Quiz?" I hear everyone mutter. She jumps up, shouting. "The question is, if your mom and your true love were both captured by the mafia, and you had to choose between saving one or the other, who would you save? Answer 1 for mom, or 2 for your true love. You have 5 seconds. I know the answer is silence. I lean in, whispering to the group. Stay quiet. The others hesitate, but no one speaks. The old woman's grin falters, then returns, even wider. She opens a door to a dark corridor. "Walk for 2 hours, and you'll reach the cedar tree," she says cryptically. Chapter 8. While we walk, Leorio complains that the old woman lied to us and exclaims, "We walked 2 hours, 2 hours ago." Right after he says this, we see a big wooden cabin with a massive cedar tree next to it. We decide it must be the place and knock. No one answers, so we all step inside. As we enter, we immediately lock eyes with a massive, bipedal creature. Its body is covered in light brown fur, thickly layered over its head, shoulders, chest, stomach, and lower body. Its sharp eyes fixate on us. It's holding a woman, her left arm marked with tribal tattoos, streaks of war paint like markings across her face. Behind them, a man lies on the floor, blood pooling beneath him. His hair is blue, his eyes bloodshot, and his clothes, a red and yellow triangle patterned bandana, a blue long-sleeved shirt, and a beige tribal Lakota vest, stand out against the grim scene. His eyes widen when they meet ours, and he gasps, weak but desperate. "Please, save my wife." Without warning, the Kiriko leaps through the window, disappearing into the distance with the woman in tow. Kurapika and Gon are quick to follow, but Kurapika shouts back. "Leorio, treat him. Now." I stay behind, watching Leorio take charge, but my senses are on high alert, every muscle primed and ready in case more beasts show up. Leorio works fast, hands steady and precise. The bleeding slows, and I let out a calculated breath of relief. Meanwhile, Gon figures it out. He realizes the difference between the real couple and the impersonators. The Kirikos reveal that their guides contracted by the Hunter Association to lead applicants to the exam site, which changes every year. They also explain they're all family, working together to test worthy candidates. We've already passed one exam. Kurapika passed for his insight about the tattoo on the wife, which means single for life in these regions. Leorio passed for his medical skills, quick and effective, like a real doctor. Gon passed for his superhuman senses and physical ability. As for me, I passed for staying behind to protect Leorio in case the wounded husband attracted any other magical beasts. The Kirikos nod and gesture for us to grab their feet. Without hesitation, we do, and the world blurs as they carry us to Zaban City. When we land, ZGun City greets us with its usual chaos. Scammers crowd the streets, hawking fake cures. Naturally, Gon almost buys into every scam. Gon. I grab his arm, yanking him away from a shady merchant selling so-called magical healing herbs. These are all scams. Don't buy anything here, Gon. Kurapika laughs, shaking his head. You've got to be careful here. Everyone's trying to make a quick buck. Gon laughs sheepishly. Guess I got a little too excited. Once the Kuriko guide says, "We're here," everyone glances up at the towering skyscrapers in the distance. But the male Kuriko motions toward a plain, nondescript building. I think this is the place, he says with a sigh. Kurapika, Leorio, and Gon exchange confused looks. This isn't what I expected. Leorio mutters, eyeing the humble structure. I told you, the Kuriko says. The hunter exam site is supposed to be secret. Why would they hold it in a flashy, public place? Leorio nods dumbfoundedly. I guess that makes sense. Inside, a chef greets us with a loud, welcome. He's cooking something that smells incredible. The Kuriko nods toward the back room. Is the back room open? The chef looks up and replies. What'll it be? The steak combo that will make me see the light, for 4, the Kuriko guide says. The chef narrows his eyes, studying him. How do you want it done? The guide raises one finger. Grilled over a low flame until done. The chef lets us pass, and as we take our seats in the back, Mr. Kuriko leans in slightly, his tone more contemplative. You know, he says, only 1 in every 10,000 applicants makes it this far each year. You've all done well on your first try. Next year, I'd be happy to guide you again. The door clicks shut behind us, and an elevator begins its slow descent. Kurapika and Leorio start arguing, again, about what it really means to be a hunter. What do you think, Gon? Leorio asks, curiosity in his voice. What does it take to be a hunter? But Gon doesn't answer. He's lost in thought, staring at the descending numbers. I don't think Gon's sure yet, I murmur. When the elevator finally stops and the doors open, we step into a large, dim room. The moment we enter, we feel it, several people staring at us with killing intent. A short green man in a suit greets us in a surprisingly friendly voice. Please take a number. He hands badges to each of us. Leorio gets 403, Kurapika 404, Gon 405, and I am 406. A few applicants seem surprised to see me, especially Hisaka, number 44, and Aluni, currently going by Jatarakar, number 301. Leorio comments on how these guys feel. Different, their aura unlike any other applicant we've met so far. I direct a malicious aura toward the others to make them uneasy, mainly toward Aluni and Hisaka, but I spare a dose for Tompa too. I want him to think twice before pulling his usual crush the rookies trick. If he does, I'll make sure he regrets it, whether that means a beatdown or worse. After about 10 minutes, Hisaka makes his move. A guy bumps into him without apologizing, and a moment later, the man's arm turns into a grotesque arrangement of red, clover-like shapes. Then I spot 2 faces I've been hoping to recruit, Hanzo, number 294, and Nicholas, number 187. I plan to save Nicholas and carry him through the exams. He's incredibly smart and excellent at research. He made it here on his own, without a guide, using only past exam data. I intend to use my newest Hatsu sub-ability, telepathy, to form a mental link with Nicholas by placing a string of fate on him. The thread is invisible and intangible, allowing us to communicate silently, without phones or words. With it, I can access any intel I need from him in real time. Suddenly, while I'm deep in thought, the front wall of the corridor lifts like a garage door. A blaring alarm yanks me back to reality. A man steps forward, pale lavender hair curled at the ends, blue eyes, long pointed chin, thin curly mustache. He appears to lack a mouth and wears a formal suit. As the alarm stops, he speaks. The registration period for Hunter exam applicants has now ended. The Hunter exam will now begin. A final word of caution: if you lack the necessary ability, or if you're unlucky, you may end up seriously injured or even dead. To those who accept the risks, please follow me. Otherwise, please exit via the elevator behind you. No one moves. Very well, he says. All 405 applicants will participate in the first phase. The man, Satots, begins walking in a strange, exaggerated manner, lifting his legs without bending them. We follow the crowd as everyone starts jogging. Satots introduces himself as the first examiner and tells us we must follow him to the next phase. Chapter 9. My legs pump steadily as I follow the crowd chasing after Satots. 2 hours in, and the weak ones are already dropping like flies. Can't say I feel bad for them. If you can't handle a little running, you've got no business being a hunter. Up ahead, I spot Nicholas slowing down, and those 3 siblings are circling him like vultures. I can't have that. I've got plans for him, and his genius is just what I need. Hey, Nicholas. I call out, jogging closer. Got a proposition for you. I'll get you through this phase if you're interested. He eyes me suspiciously, chest heaving. And what's the catch? A bead of sweat rolls down his temple. Simple. You handle my operations and do some research. But here's the deal. I lean in closer, dropping my voice. I'll place an ability on you, and if you decline, well, let's just say this tunnel is a great place to hide bodies. Fear flashes across his face before resignation sets in. Smart boy, he knows when he's cornered. The string of fate binds easily, and I throw in a little surprise by opening his aura nodes with Cho. The look on his face when he first feels the aura flowing through him? Priceless. What was that? He gasps. Consider it a signing bonus, I say with a smirk, crafting a shadow motorcycle beneath him. Here's your ride. I always keep my promises. Poor Leorio is struggling too, fumbling with his briefcase, so I conjure another bike for him. Hop on, old man, I call out. Can't have you dying on us yet. He shouts out, enraged, what old man? I'm only 18. Can't you tell? Up front, Gon and Killua are neck and neck, racing toward the finish line like the kids they are. I won. You owe me lunch. Gon shouts. No way. Killua protests. You owe me lunch. Satots clears his throat, commanding attention. The next part will test more than your endurance, he warns, his mustache twitching. The Milsey wetlands show no mercy to the foolish. One wrong step, and you won't just fail, you'll die. Just as he says this, a man with a monkey that looks like Satots comes from behind the tunnel and claims he's the real examiner, accusing Satots of trying to trick us into believing we need to go into the forest. Hisoka throws cards at both examiners, killing the fake while the real Satots catches the cards and warns Hisoka that if he attacks an examiner again, he will be kicked out of the exams. As Satots takes off running again, I turn to my companions. Gon. Killua. Kurapika. Leorio. Get on these, I say, creating 4 more shadow bikes. With my Nen control and N, tracking Satots is child's play. His aura stands out like a beacon compared to the small aura traces or the giant cold signatures of Hisoka and Illumi. What about the wetland creatures? Kurapika asks, settling onto his bike. I snort. Frogs in waiting? Hypnosis butterflies? Let them play their games. We're taking the express route. My N stretches out, locked onto Satots as we weave through the mist. While we wait for the stragglers at the next checkpoint, I decide to get a head start on what's coming. The forest has 7 great stamps, massive pink boars that would terrify anyone else. But their weak spot? Embarrassingly obvious if you're fast enough. One quick strike to the forehead, and they're down, even if it's a weak hit. By the time I return from hiding my future dinner, the second phase is about to begin. Only 157 applicants remain, and we're greeted by quite the odd pair. A young woman with tan skin and cyan hair tied in 5 topknots stands before massive gates. She's got this confident smirk that screams I'm about to ruin someone's day. Behind her lounges a mountain of a man, his belly hanging out of a too small yellow shirt. "Welcome, applicants." The woman's voice carries across the clearing. "I'm Menki, and this is Boara. We're your second phase examiners, and we're gourmet hunters." I can't help but smile. This should be interesting, especially with those pigs I've got stashed away. Chapter 10. The rules are simple, Menki announced, her eyes scanning the crowd of applicants. You'll each prepare a dish for Boara and me. We'll taste your creations and decide if you pass based on our enjoyment. To succeed, you need approval from both of us. She turned to her massive companion. "Boara, what's the required ingredient?" "Pork," he replied with a grin that made his whole body shake. "The required ingredient will be pork." As soon as the words left his mouth, applicants scattered like startled birds, rushing into the forest in search of pigs. But I held our group back, a smirk playing on my lips. "Wait," I said, placing a hand on Gon's shoulder as he was about to dash off. "I've got this covered. While everyone else is running around like headless chickens, I'll show you where to find our pigs." "How did you know?" Leorio asked, narrowing his eyes behind his small sunglasses. "About the pork, I mean." I couldn't help but let out a small laugh as I led them toward my secret stash. "Oh, that's simple," I said, spinning the most ridiculous tale I could think of. "The Visca Forest Preserve is home to the world's most delicious pigs. I caught a few yesterday, planning to have some quality meals during the exam." Most of them nodded along, making me want to facepalm. Only Killua and Nicholas gave me skeptical looks, but they were smart enough to keep their mouths shut. 6 pigs for 6 people, caught right before an exam where we might not even stay a full day. Come on, guys. The smell of herbs and spices filled the air as I prepared my dish. I decided on lechon, a Brazilian pork dish I remembered from my past life. The memory of that celebratory dinner at the steakhouse after winning the SGA presidency still made my mouth water. "What are you adding there?" Gon asked, peering over my shoulder as I pounded lemongrass and spring onions together. "Trade secret," I winked, continuing to stuff the pig with my mixture of bay leaves, garlic, and onions. Using my shadow, I carefully sewed up the belly, a neat trick that drew a few gasps from nearby applicants. "Hey, Lucas!" Leorio called out. "Why are you covering it in milk?" I pretended not to hear, focusing on basting my pig as it turned slowly over the fire. Around me, other applicants returned with their catches. Some looked pretty beaten up. Hunting wild pigs wasn't exactly a walk in the park. A few hadn't returned at all, and I could guess why. Those pigs weren't very friendly. "The key is to keep the skin from burning," I heard Gon explaining to another applicant. "See how Lucas is basting it? That keeps the meat juicy." He had most of it right but missed the milk detail. Smart kid. Time passed, and I watched some applicants practically cremate their pigs. Amateur hour. Finally, my creation was ready, and I prepared 2 distinct presentations. For Boara, I crafted a pulled pork sandwich from the shoulder meat, topped with a tiny Hunter Association flag. For Menki, I went all out with belly meat arranged in a spiral like pork sushi, wrapped in homemade bacon, with just enough meat juice to make it glisten. "Now this," Menki said as she took her first bite, her eyes lighting up, "is someone who understands cooking." She raised her passing sign without hesitation. I settled back with my portion of the pig, watching the show as other applicants presented their dishes. It became clear that creativity and execution mattered more than copying someone else's technique. Even some of the weird-looking dishes passed, as long as they tasted good and showed some thought. The Hunter Association airship arrived just as we were finishing up, its massive form casting a shadow over the cooking grounds. Mr. Beans started gathering the successful applicants. "All examinees who passed, please board the airship," he announced. "We'll be departing for the third phase shortly." I counted heads as we boarded, only 44 made it through. Inside the airship's hall, Mr. Beans informed us we'd reach our next destination around 5 a.m. tomorrow. "Hey Hunter. Quick cult break time. We do facts now. So, did you know, Hisoka's age is never confirmed in the anime, but the databooks list him as 28. Which makes his obsession with Gon. Yeah. Let's move on." Chapter 11. As soon as Mr. Beans finishes explaining, Gon and Killua bolt off, practically bouncing with excitement. I tag along, figuring I'll keep them out of trouble while Nicholas, Kurapika, and Leorio stay behind to rest. We wander around the ship for a while, eventually ending up in the kitchen. Without thinking twice, I grab a handful of food and stuff it into my mouth, followed by Gon and Killua, who devour everything like they've never seen food before. Before I can finish, one of the chefs pushes me aside and lifts the kids off the ground with ease. They squirm, but he doesn't budge. I step back, amused. "Come on, guys," I chuckle. "Let's find somewhere else." The kids, still intrigued, follow as we continue our little tour of the ship. Not long after, Gon glances at Killua and asks, "Where are your parents?" Killua shrugs. "I think they're alive." "What do they do?" Gon presses, his curiosity piqued. I glance out the window, my eyes following the endless stretch of land beneath the ship. The view's mesmerizing. That's when I spot him, an old man stepping out from a room behind us. He's hard to miss, white ponytail, thick curly beard with black tips, and wild, untamed eyebrows. His earlobes stretch down, each with 2 piercings. He wears a blue and white kimono. As soon as he notices us, he releases a burst of killing intent so sharp it makes Gon and Killua stagger back, eyes wide. I don't flinch. It's not like Hisoka's wild, cold killing intent, it's more controlled and composed. I glance at the reflection in the window. The old man's aura flickers briefly before he quickly moves around the corner, trying to pretend nothing happened. He stops just out of view and then glances back at me. His surprise is immediate. The gears in his mind visibly turn as he processes what just happened. He's shocked. Maybe it's because I know exactly what he's capable of, or maybe it's the resemblance. I look almost exactly like he did when he was younger, short white hair, brown eyes, a lean, muscular build. The difference? He's barely 5 feet 3 inches, and I'm 5 feet 11 inches. Gon and Killua shift uncomfortably, eyes darting between me and the old man. They can feel it too, they know that killing intent is from him, but they don't understand why. Gon's the first to break the silence. "Who are you?" Before the old man can answer, Killua chimes in, "Yeah, and what do you want?" The old man grins and rubs the back of his head, playing it off like nothing happened. "Oh, sorry. My name's Netero. I was just getting a little lonely on this ship, thought I'd find some playmates." "You're pretty fast for an old man," Killua says, slow and controlled. Netero tilts his head, feigning confusion. "What?" I barely moved. Killua crosses his arms, unimpressed. "Don't act like you didn't do anything. We saw that." Before Netero can respond, Gon jumps in again, his voice full of curiosity. "So, what do you want? Why are you even here?" Netero lets out a hearty laugh that fills the space. I just wanted to see if you kids are up for a little game. If you beat me, I'll skip the rest of the exams and give you a hunter's license right here and now." Killua immediately shoots him down. "It's a trick. You just want us to play with you." Glasses appear out of nowhere on my face, and I push them up so they shine in the light while I say, "Actually, Killua, this is not a trick. The man before you is Isaac Netero, chairman of the Hunter Association. Isn't that right, Gramps? Netero raises an eyebrow, a grin tugging at his lips. Gon and Killua freeze, staring at me in disbelief. Their eyes widen, processing the weight of what I've just said. Netero looks at me, shock written all over his face. You know who I am? I shrug and smirk. Of course, Gramps. I've heard stories. Gon and Killua stand there, stunned, as though they've just been hit with a ton of bricks. Wait, Gon stammers, still processing. You're the chairman? Netero laughs, a loud, booming sound that fills the air. That's right. But I've been on this ship so long, I forgot what it's like to have a little fun. Gon and Killua don't need more encouragement, and they agree to the challenge. We make our way into a room specifically designed for the old man's games. The floors are wood, the walls are padded, and the ceiling is metal. If I had to guess, we're at the very top of the blimp. Netero pulls out a yellow ball with a black stripe running down the middle. Here's the deal, if you can take this ball from me within the next 9 hours, you win. If not, well, you lose. I won't hit you, but you're free to try whatever you want. Without hesitation, Killua leaps forward, his speed a blur. He uses rhythm echo to disorient Netero, trying to land a few solid hits. But the old man dodges every strike like he's dancing, until Killua tries to kick his legs. The blow lands, but it's not the old man whose leg is immobilized. Killua yells in pain, clearly frustrated. What the hell? Are your legs made of steel or something? Before Netero can respond, Gon charges in, full of energy but with too much force. He leaps high, slamming his head into the metal ceiling with a loud crack. Ouch! Gon yelps, rubbing his head. Idiot, Killua mutters, though a grin tugs at his lips. Netero turns to me, his grin widening. What about you, kid? Want to give it a try? I shake my head, smirking. I didn't agree to play the game, so even if I win, I won't accept a hunter's license. But sure, I'll play, Gramps. I stand still for a moment, stretching as if warming up, but in my mind, I'm picturing the old man surrounded by a crowd of over 30 nearly nude girls, only smoke covering their private parts. It's perverted, sure, but I focus, channeling my energy, using my imagination to cast a genjutsu. Just as the genjutsu takes hold, I rush forward without haste. The illusion takes hold as planned, and I snatch the ball before Netero can even react. I make it to the other side of the room just as his aura explodes, power flaring like a storm. Impressive. He escapes the genjutsu in less than half a second, more impressive than even Hisoka. I guess that's what thousands of battles and a trip to the Dark Continent will do to someone's battle capabilities. Netero looks at me, his grin stretching wider. You're something else. Let's talk later, alright? I nod and wave. Sure, Gramps. With that, I head off, leaving Gon and Killua to continue their fun with the old man. I'm ready to get some sleep, after all, we've got a good 8 hours until we reach Trick Tower, and I'll need all the rest I can get for what comes next. Chapter 12. I wake to a voice over the speakers, apologies for the delay, we will arrive at the third phase of the exam shortly. Rubbing my eyes, I glance around at Leorio, Kurapika, and Nicholas. All of us are staring out the window as we approach a massive round mesa topped by a tall, circular tower. Our blimp ascends to the summit, where it finally comes to a halt. The doors open, and we're ushered out. Mr. Bean stands before us, delivering his usual calm, steady speech. Everyone, the third phase of the exams will commence here, at the top of Trick Tower. To pass, you must reach the base of the tower alive. You have 72 hours. With that, the third phase begins. I wish you all luck. I conjure a shadow watch, counting down from 72 hours, and conceal it beneath my sleeve so it won't dissipate in bright light. The blimp departs into the distance, and Mr. Bean's voice crackles over the speakers once more, "Everyone, please do your best. It's a long way down." One of the other participants attempts to descend the tower's outer walls, but I watch as he's attacked by enormous, six-legged creatures. Their narrow eyes and razor-sharp teeth make them resemble flying babies. They quickly tear him apart. These creatures can fly, so anyone trying to climb down from the outside doesn't stand a chance. As I walk with the others, the floor beneath me gives way, and I land in a brick room. A voice crackles through a speaker as I hit the floor. "Hello, my name is Lipo. I am the warden here as well as the examiner for the third phase. There are multiple routes through this tower. You've chosen the path of natural selection. This path will determine if you're the fittest of the bunch or the runt of the litter. The key to passing this phase is being both strong and smart. Best of luck." The door to my right opens, and I cautiously step through. As soon as I enter, the door slams shut behind me, and the voice comes on again. "This is the first of your Roots 5 tests, called the Test of Adaptation. It takes place in this room, the ever-changing nexus, where everything is constantly shifting. Temperature, environment, air density, gravity, pressure, you name it, this room can simulate it. To move on to the next test, you'll have to adapt to the changing environments and find the exit." The chamber is massive, a vast, circular room. Its edges disappear into shadows, and the walls aren't solid, they seem like woven mist, constantly shifting and morphing. I can't see any windows or doors, just an endless expanse of misty walls. Suddenly, a gust of hot, dry wind blows through the room, carrying the scent of sand and dust. The temperature skyrockets, and the floor beneath me cracks, turning uneven as the space transforms into a desert wasteland. I look up, and the room's ceiling brightens, blinding me for a second. The sand gets into my nose and throat, making it hard to breathe. I quickly create a mask around my mouth using my shadow, trying to block out the sand. But the sunlight is so intense that my shadow starts to dissipate the moment it touches my face. I have to find cover. So, I bury myself in the sand, creating a dome of shadow around me for shelter. Just as I settle in, the environment shifts again. The dry desert air gives way to thick, humid fog, and the temperature drops dramatically. The sand sprouts roots, and towering trees begin to grow out of nowhere. Eventually, the sand turns into grass, wet with what seems like morning dew. This is far more manageable, even though it's very humid. I start exploring, trying to find the exit, but after about 20 minutes, the room shifts again. Gravity seems to pull harder, and the air feels thicker. The ground beneath me trembles and then becomes smooth, almost like I'm underwater. The trees and grass vanish, and the air turns into water. The pressure is intense, and it's hard to breathe. I can hold my breath longer than most, my personal record is over 3 minutes, but with the water here, I wonder if I might need to use the domain of possibilities to survive. I could probably stretch it to 10 minutes if I keep my N restricted to just a small bubble around my body. But before I can even start to consider that, the room shifts again. The water disappears, and the pressure returns to normal. For a moment, I think I might get a break. But then the temperature plummets, and the air becomes thick with the stench of sulfur, as if the entire room has turned into the inside of a volcano. The ground beneath me becomes jagged, with blackened stone shards jutting up like spikes. Volcanic ash begins to fall from the ceiling, making it hard to see. The air crackles with faint electric currents, sending sparks through the ash and lighting up the room in sudden bursts of light. The heat is intense, but it's not anything I can't handle. I've trained myself to withstand lightning's heat, which can be as hot as the sun's surface. The problem, however, is the brightness of the lava. My shadow manipulation works best in dim conditions, but in such intense light, my control is weak. If I try to control my shadow here, it would disperse immediately. I keep walking, trying to find a way out. I walk for what feels like hours until I finally find a massive stone structure carved directly into the volcanic rock. It looks like a door, but the area around it fluctuates wildly between extreme heat and cold. The temperature goes from well below freezing to scorching in an instant. Luckily, my training has prepared me for this. I coat my body with a thin layer of nen, just enough to protect myself from any heat or freeze burns. I push open the door and enter a new hallway. This one is filled with a long set of stairs that descend into darkness. In the darkness, I pull out my watch, and the time left is just over 66 hours. Chapter 13. The moment I step into the room from the hallway, the air presses in, thick and suffocating. Silence envelops me, the kind that unsettles even the most composed. The space stretches endlessly, swallowed by a fog so dense it blurs everything beyond arm's reach. The walls and ceiling are lost in the mist, and beneath my feet, the ground feels uneven, soft and treacherous. Moss, dead leaves, and loose earth cover the floor, each step sinking slightly. The sounds of my footsteps vanish instantly, absorbed by the heavy stillness. This room is a vast, dimly lit forest, unlike any I've ever seen. Towering trees twist upward, their gnarled branches disappearing into the dark abyss. A weak, pale light struggles to break through the canopy, casting only faint shadows. Dark vines coil around the trunks, twitching subtly, as if alive. The air reeks of damp earth, decay, and something sharper, like burning wood, a strange contrast to the musty surroundings. I breathe deeply, feeling the weight of the place pressing down, as if the very space is aware of me. There's no wind, but occasionally, the temperature shifts. A whisper brushes my ears, not a sound, but a presence. Something's watching me. Without warning, the loudspeaker crackles to life, and Lipo's voice slices through the silence. This is your second trial, the hidden. We've hired some prisoners as examiners. For every hour you spend here, 1 year is taken off their sentences. Your goal is to avoid getting hit and to catch the predators. If you die, the remaining time you had will be converted into years off their sentences. So, if you were to die now, they'd get 66 years off. I smirk, already forming a plan. My eye wraps around the room, sensing hidden mechanisms embedded in the walls. An extra wall covered in mirrors creates the illusion of space, multiplying the trees and making the room seem far larger than it is. Between the walls, passageways twist, and I sense the presence of 15 prisoners, each armed with a bow or spear. They don't know who they're dealing with. I've trained my nen to perfection. This test is nothing. I cloak myself in shadows, using the tree's darkness to blend in and become invisible to anyone without Gyo. I move silently through the fog. The passageways are narrow, and I slip into one without making a sound. They won't see me coming unless they can use In or Gyo. But even then, they're as good as dead. They lack the subtlety and precision to attack me. The first prisoner doesn't even see me coming. He's fumbling with his spear, trying to get a comfortable grip. I move in silently, my feet barely disturbing the moss beneath me. In one fluid motion, I disarm him, grabbing his wrist and twisting until he drops his spear with a choked gasp. Before he can react, I swipe the spear from his hand, the metal glinting in the misty air. He stumbles back, eyes wide with surprise, but I don't give him the chance to recover. I lunge forward, sending the blunt end of the spear slamming into his chest. The force knocks him back against a twisted tree trunk, and his breath whooshes out in a desperate, panicked gasp. I don't waste time. A sharp thrust to the neck takes him down. His body crumples, limp, and I move on. The next prisoner seems to sense me coming. He raises his spear, swiping at something he can't see, but the fog disorients him, and he swings wide. I duck, feeling the air cut by the sharp edge of his weapon, and at that moment, I'm already on him. My hand grips his arm, twisting it violently, the crack of his shoulder joint audible in the thick silence. His weapon falls from his hand, and before he can scream, I slam the heel of my boot into his knee, collapsing his leg. He hits the ground hard, his breath ragged, but he doesn't get a chance to recover. A quick slash to the nape kills him with ease. I keep moving, my senses on full alert, using my nen wrapped tightly around the room. The others are lost in their fear, disoriented and panicked, seeing their comrades killed by something none of them can see, and that's exactly what I need. Their confusion makes them easy prey. I catch sight of the third prisoner trying to slip into one of the narrow passageways, his feet sloshing through the wet earth. He's slower than the rest, his breathing shallow, his movements jerky. I'm on him before he even touches a foot to the passageway. I slide into the passage, and as I turn around to face him, I drive the spear's point into his chest. He collapses to the ground with a strangled scream, and I leave him behind, moving forward. The next few prisoners don't even get a chance to raise their weapons. Their eyes dart around, frantic, but they can't find me. They're already too late. I step out of the shadows, quick as a whisper, and disarm the fourth. His spear clatters uselessly to the ground, and before he can make a move, I spin, using the momentum to strike him across the face with the flat of the spear. His nose breaks with a sickening crack, blood spraying across the floor. He stumbles back, clutching his face in shock. I don't let him go further. A quick stab to the temple dispatches him, and I move on. The next one, a larger man with heavy footsteps, charges at the space where the last man died, swinging blindly, weapon raised high. His movements are too predictable. I let him come, grab his arm as he swings again, twist, using his momentum against him, and slam him into the ground, pinning him with my knee. His winded gasp fills the air as I knock the breath from him. He tries to grab a dagger from his belt, but I'm faster. I pin his neck to the ground with my boot, twisting until I hear the satisfying snap of his bones. As the remaining prisoners scatter, their movements more frantic now, I find myself enjoying the rhythm of the massacre. Each strike is measured, efficient, as if this is all a practice drill. They can't hide from my senses. The fog does little to obscure my awareness because N is active, and with each passing second, more of them die. The next prisoner, smaller and quicker, runs past me, unable to see me. I spin on my heel, intercepting him before he can even think about escaping. He tries to get away, but I catch him by the back of his tunic, yanking him off balance. His breath hitches, but it's too late for him to fight. I slam him against a tree, knocking the wind out of him. I follow up by collapsing his windpipe, and he crumbles to the ground, unable to breathe. One by one, they fall. Their panic is palpable, their fear almost tangible in the air. They don't know how to fight back, not against an opponent they can't even see. My movements are fluid, and my mind is sharp. Each prisoner falls with almost surgical precision. By the time I reach the last one, he's trembling, his weapon shaking in his hands. His eyes are wide with terror, the fog twisting around him as though it, too, can sense his fear. He tries to speak, to beg, but I silence him with a single, cold look. He swings wildly, but I'm already there, disarming him with a single flick of my wrist, sending his weapon flying. He's wide open now, vulnerable. But instead of finishing him immediately, I let him struggle. His breath comes faster. Chapter 14. After sliding down, I find myself in the center of a vast room with 3 clear exits. Each door is distinct. The first is made of dark metal or stone, smooth with subtle etched patterns that could be abstract symbols or geometric shapes. The second is a plain wooden door with a regular knob. The third is the most unusual, constructed from black, smooth rock, embedded with numerous keyholes. In the middle of the room stands a puzzle pedestal. Upon closer inspection, I see a clearly carved riddle on the pedestal. I have keys but open no locks. I have space but no room. You can enter, but you cannot go outside. What am I? I pause, thinking hard. Then it clicks, it's a keyboard. I have keys but open no locks refers to the keys on a keyboard. I have space but no room points to the spacebar. You can enter, but you cannot go outside alludes to the enter key. Reddit.com. The first door, with its geometric patterns resembling a keyboard, seems to fit the riddle. Trusting my instincts, I choose it. I pass through the door and enter a narrow, winding corridor. The path is dimly lit, and the air hums with disorienting whispers coming from all directions. Some say, "Go left," others shout, "Go right," and a few even urge me to turn back, claiming they'll harm my friends if I proceed. I know better. The loudest whispers are usually lies. I tune them out, focusing only on the faintest, most consistent sounds. I march forward, straight ahead, not deviating. After what feels like hours of walking, the whispers become more predictable. I begin to sense a pattern in their cadence. Eventually, I hear a faint "go right," a quiet voice I've been following all this time. It's consistent and persistent, and the louder voices trying to sway me now seem distant and irrelevant. There's a door up ahead, glowing with warm, welcoming light. The whispers I've been following advise me to ignore the light and go right. So, I turn toward the right and see a black door barely visible in the dark, labeled Gravity Well. I step through the black door and suddenly find myself in a room where gravity fluctuates unpredictably. Some parts of the room feel crushingly heavy, making movement difficult. Other areas feel weightless, sending me floating uncontrollably. I need to reach the door on the other side to escape, but gravity becomes more erratic the closer I get. The floor is scattered with rocks, and climbing them feels like a struggle against a force trying to throw me off. Each step becomes a careful calculation, especially when I step on a pressure plate that tilts the room. I brace myself, ready for the shift, and use the momentum to climb faster. As I continue, I start to anticipate the changes in gravity. I position myself carefully, avoiding pressure plates, sliding when necessary, and climbing when the gravity lightens. With each shift, I grow more aware of the patterns and how to move quickly before the room tilts too far. Eventually, I make it to the other side and pass through the door. I find myself on a large central platform, surrounded by rotating mirrors and glowing symbols. From where I just came, a singular light beam falls onto a mirror on the floor. I realize this room is filled with hundreds of mirrors and mirror puzzles. Each segment of the room holds different colored images and abstract geometric shaped puzzles to solve. Patience is key here. I can't rush. The time limit is still manageable, but if I let the pressure overwhelm me, I'll make mistakes. I focus, blocking out the mounting stress, and tackle the simplest puzzles first with my phantoms. We begin with geometric shapes, starting with simple triangles, then moving on to squares, rhombuses, rectangles, trapezoids, and finally, abstract shapes. There are numerous geometric shaped puzzles and several abstract ones. The last section, with the image puzzles, will be the longest. If we keep focused, I can finish this with ample time remaining. The trick with the image puzzles is to solve them in the order the light reflects off them, following the beams to their next target. It's slow progress, but I keep moving forward, piece by piece, trying not to mess up. It's hard and tedious, but with the help of my phantoms, I finally reach the last set of image puzzles. The light refracts in a way that leads me to a mirror on the wall. It's curved, and when the light hits it, it shifts sideways, revealing. Whoa, who would have guessed, yet another staircase passageway. After the last room, I expect something significant for the final stage of my exam, but all I see at the end of this staircase is a small room lit with candles. When I enter, I see Isaac Netero sitting in a chair behind a table, with another chair across from him. On the table, there's a board with a 9x9 grid on it. Chapter 15. As I approach him, the old man grins and says, "Hey, long time no see. I've been wanting to talk to you, so I asked Lipo if I could take over your final test. Forget that boring gauntlet he had planned, I'm going to test your mental skills the best way. With games. If you win, you may pass." His excitement is so palpable, he looks like a child eager to play. I take a seat, and it quickly becomes clear that I will be playing as black, and he's going to be taking white. As I settle in, we start the initial setup. I glance up at him. "Hey, can we chat after the game? I'll probably need to focus if I'm going to beat you, old man." "Sure," he replies, a playful gleam in his eye as we begin. The board is wide open. There are no fixed starting positions, and we get to choose where to place our pieces within our 3 ranks. I take my time, analyzing every piece, and carefully considering where to position each one. My commander goes near the corner but is well protected by the other pieces. It's a bit conservative, but I don't want to leave myself exposed too early. Gramps places his commander all the way across the board. There's something off about it, though. Something doesn't feel entirely safe. I keep placing my pieces with precision, making sure everything has a purpose. My gold goes in a defensive position. The samurai follows, building a structure that can evolve into something more. I spread my pieces out, ensuring flexibility. Gramps places his pieces quickly, almost recklessly, like he's tossing them down without a second thought. Then, he places his catapult right in the center. Not a terrible spot, but it's way too exposed for my liking. Catapults are immobile and vulnerable to attacks. It feels like a trap. I'm not rushing, though. I place my pawn and my spy in strategic positions. Gramps places his spy and his pike in seemingly random spots. It's almost as if he's daring me to make a move. I finish placing my pieces, having built a solid foundation. I've got a plan, but Gramps' pieces seem scattered and chaotic, with no real structure. It's as if he's leaving things up to chance. Now that we're done with the initial placement, the real game can begin. I'm black, so I go first. I move my pawn forward. Simple, but solid. Gramps responds by moving his pawn. I move my samurai, reinforcing my position. It's a defensive move, but it keeps my options open. Gramps moves his catapult forward. Wait, he's leaving it exposed. It's in my range now, and I could strike. I pause. I could go for it, but I'm not going to rush. I'll wait for the right moment. Instead, I move my gold, maintaining my defensive posture while advancing. Gramps moves his lance, spreading his forces out. But the catapult is even more exposed now. It's like he doesn't care. I move my spy, keeping it ready to jump over anything that comes my way. Gramps moves his bow, spreading his pieces around, but they're becoming more vulnerable. I can't get too greedy, though. I need to stay cautious. No mistakes. Gramps' strategy is starting to worry me. I can't quite figure out what he's aiming for, but it feels reckless. He moves his pike forward. It's a bold move, but why would he push something like that with no backup? I shift my samurai, maintaining control of the board. I need to keep my options open, but I also need to keep an eye on Gramps. He moves his bow again. He's advancing without a clear strategy. I move my catapult cautiously, keeping things tight. Gramps moves his lance, trying to break through. It's an attempt to catch me off guard, but I've seen this kind of move before. It's not going to work. Then Gramps makes a bold move. He pushes his catapult further, putting it right in the center of my territory. It's a huge risk. If I capture that catapult, I'll be in a great position to strike. I lean back for a moment. His pieces are spread too thin, and his strategy is all over the place. He's hoping I'll make a mistake, but that's not going to happen. I carefully move my pawn, building momentum in my corner. Gramps moves his pike. Very interesting. Without hesitation, I move my spy, leaping over his catapult. But instead of just capturing it, I stack my spy on top of his catapult. This creates an immediate double threat. He'll either have to sacrifice his catapult or risk losing his spy to my next move. Gramps hesitates, clearly thrown off balance by my stacking strategy. Then, Gramps does something unexpected. He captures my samurai with his pike, stacking his pike on top of my samurai. The game is getting complicated fast, and with this much complexity, who knows who will win? Chapter 16. Now I have an opening. With my spy stacked atop his catapult, I can capture both his catapult and pike in a single move by advancing my spy to the center of the board. The stacking mechanism allows me to eliminate both pieces at once. His catapult and pike are gone. I pause, letting the weight of the moment settle. I've just seized the advantage with a bold combination of stacking and strategic captures. My samurai may be gone, but I've gained control of the board. The pieces he thought were safe are now in my hands. Gramps is still trying to recover from the loss of his key pieces. I see the opening I've been waiting for. His commander, out of position and with no backup, is now vulnerable. The board has shifted in my favor, and I move my gold forward, setting up for the final blow. Gramps doesn't even see it coming. He's still trying to regain his footing after losing his catapult and pike. But I know the window for victory is open. I've studied his every move, every misstep. He's left his commander exposed, so I position my gold accordingly, keeping my pieces tight but now lining up a dangerous sequence. Gramps shifts in his chair, his eyes flicking from his pieces to mine. He still thinks he can turn this around, but I see the cracks in his defense. He moves his lance forward, trying to push ahead, but it's a futile attempt. His defenses are too thin. His commander is way too far from the action, too isolated. He hasn't realized it yet, but I've already set everything in motion. I don't hesitate. I move my spy, still stacked on his catapult, to a critical position. It's a quick strike, but it's the kind that changes everything. With my spy stacked on his catapult, I capture both his catapult and his pike, removing his two strongest pieces in one fell swoop. Gramps looks at the board in disbelief, his mouth agape. His carefully laid plans have crumbled. With his key pieces gone, I know I've gained control. His commander is now the only major piece left, and it's sitting in the corner of the board, vulnerable. I've got momentum, and I can see the path to victory clear as day. I don't waste any time. I move my samurai forward, inching closer to his commander. He tries to push his lance up the board again, but it's too late. The pieces are in place, and he's running out of moves. I can hear the hesitation in his voice now as he shifts his pieces around, trying to figure out a way out of the trap. But there is no way out. I move my spy to capture his last line of defense, his spy. It's a critical blow. His commander is now completely exposed. He's practically inviting me to make my move, but I hold back for just a moment, savoring the suspense. Gramps leans back in his chair, realizing what's coming. I can see it in his eyes, the understanding that the end is near. With a final move, I advance my samurai, then, in one fluid motion, I capture his commander. The game is over. I win. Now that I've won and secured my spot to pass the exams, what did you want to talk about, Gramps? His expression darkens, and he looks at me seriously. I wanted to talk to you about who you really are. If you're truly my grandson, where have you been, what have you been doing? I nod. In short, yes, I'm your grandson. My full name is Lucas Netero, or well, Lucas Hawei Guoru, the 10th Prince of the Kakin Empire. I grew up there until I was 12. I was very close to my elder brothers, Sarah, Nick and Benjamin, but ever since I was born, I've wanted to have adventures around the world. So, I faked my own death and ran away to Heaven's Arena. I'm also a floor master in Heaven's Arena now, by the way. Gramps raises an eyebrow. Okay, then how do you know I'm your grandpa? I pause, thinking for a moment. I've had an eidetic memory since I was a kid. When I was born, there was a man with long black hair tied back and a thick black beard. He had an X-shaped scar running across both his cheeks and stopping at his forehead. He wore a green robe with a red sash and called me Lucas Netero. So, considering how old you are and that your last name is also Netero, I figured you were probably my grandpa or great-grandpa. Gramps doesn't seem fully convinced. He raises an eyebrow again. All right, we've got time. Tell me the whole story. Okay, I start. I was born to Queen Unma Hway-Gwo-Ru, the first wife of King Nasabai Hway-Gwo-Ru. She has short blonde hair, a rectangular face, and a wide, flat nose. When I was born, the doctor handed me to a man with a tan complexion, the same one I just described. When he took me in his arms, he unlocked my nen and started laughing, saying, "Soon, the world will know the name Lucas Netero. But for now, everyone will call you the 10th Prince of the Kakin Empire, Lucas Hway-Gwo-Ru." After that, I never saw him again. Gramps' eyes widened slightly. His name is beyond Netero. And if he said that, then he is indeed your father. So yes, that makes me your grandfather. A faint smile tugs at his lips. So, do you know your Nen affinity? Yeah, I reply. I'm a specialist. I continue with my story. When I turned 5, I started learning assassination techniques, then karate, judo, aikido, taekwondo, and Shingen-ryu. By the time I was 12, I had mastered all those styles. I began developing my hatsu, conditioning my body for combat, and working on strategy games. I became a master at Stratego, Risk, Battleship, Chess, Gunji, and Shogi. Gramps chuckles, his grin widening. So that's why you are so good at Gunji. I laugh. Exactly. When I turned 12, I faked my death using my second hatsu and ran away. Over the next 2 years, I became a floor master in Heaven's Arena. After that, I came here. And well, you know the rest, old man. Gramps looks at me with a gleam in his eye. If you want, this old man can teach you a thing or two after you pass these exams, he says, his laughter taking on a slightly wild edge. We talked for another 2 hours about different things, like my relationship with the rest of the royal family and how I was introduced to Nen. After we are done talking, he gestures for me to follow him, leading me down a corridor. We stop at a large room where 17 other candidates are waiting. As I step through the door, a speaker announces, Candidate 406, Lucas, officially passes with 28 hours and 13 minutes remaining. Chapter 17. Over the next several hours, while waiting for the test to conclude, I have ample time to devise new strategies and check in on my business using the telepathy string. My top priority is the Gyudundan tribe. From what I've observed, they're settling in well at the base I purchased for our operations. Before departing for the hunter exam, I gave them explicit instructions to establish our presence in the Mafia world. I directed them to expand strategically, leveraging their combat skills to take over other families and seize their mansions. This approach will provide more locations for my new family to grow. The women are handling discreet negotiations and trade agreements, ensuring resources flow steadily without attracting unwanted attention. I recently informed them that I've recruited a few new members, one of whom will train the more intelligent individuals and noncombatants in negotiation, combat, and stealth. Preparing them for potential future confrontations is crucial. Additionally, I instructed them to accept protection jobs for smaller families lacking allies or strong fighters during my absence. Once we've earned their trust, we can gradually take over their families, recruiting the surviving fighters. This strategy will help build a reliable team of foot soldiers to address any issues. I won't personally handle recruitment again, only the original members will know I'm the boss. Anyone who rises too high in the ranks will eventually receive the string of fate treatment. I'm contemplating a method to manipulate the deals made using the string of fate so that when a member reaches a high enough rank to know the true identity of the boss, they become incapable of revealing it. This would prevent them from disclosing my identity as the organization's leader, notify me if they attempt to speak, and render them mute permanently. If they refuse, it's a clear indication they're a spy. Eliminating them would not be a loss, in fact, it would be beneficial, as it would mean one less spy in the organization. Now, it's time to check on Nicholas. He must be with Gon's original group since Tampa is here and the others are absent. I use the string of fate to connect to his brain, linking our memories. I begin reviewing his recollections from the moment I fell into the trapdoor. A few minutes after my disappearance, the group noticed and started investigating. As expected, Gon and Killua discovered the trapdoor and informed the others. Since the group consists of 5 members this time, they all descended and progressed faster than they would have if they had waited for Tampa. Nicholas's presence didn't significantly alter events, except to expedite progress, as there was no fighting or arguing this time. Upon reaching the arena, Bendot fought Kurapika because Tampa wasn't present to volunteer. Bendot, relying on his raw strength and military training, launched powerful punches, attempting to overpower Kurapika. However, Kurapika calmly dodged and parried with his specialized wooden swords, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. With each move, Kurapika's speed and agility outclassed Bendot's brute force technique. Finally, after a swift feint, Kurapika caught Bendot off guard, landing a strike to his neck that crushed his windpipe, leading to suffocation. Subsequently, everything proceeded as usual, with Gon extinguishing Sudokun's candle and securing their second match victory. In the third match, Leorio faced Mijitani. The moment Mijitani revealed himself, it was evident that Leorio was intimidated. As the fight commenced, Mijitani slammed his fist into the ground with such force that the floor cracked beneath him. Leorio stumbled back, eyes wide in disbelief. Mijitani smirked and casually turned around to display a phantom troop tattoo on his lower back, watching Leorio's expression shift from confusion to fear. The sight of the tattoo seemed to shatter Leorio's confidence. He immediately surrendered, and both returned to their respective sides. Kurapika's eyes turned scarlet as he glared at Mijitani's spider tattoo in silence. The final match was between Nicholas and Leroot. Both sides had time to wager, and they placed different bets on various challenges. They engaged in a few rounds of rock-paper-scissors, resulting in a tie. Leroot won the first match, but Nicholas feigned nervousness and used paper instead of rock. Since he won with paper, Leroot anticipated he would choose paper again and prepared to counter with scissors. However, Nicholas used rock, gaining an advantage. In the next bet, Nicholas wagered that Killua would defeat the next opponent in any challenge. It was a safe bet. Even if he lost, he would have time to recover. If Leroot lost, they would win the match and proceed. Jonas appeared and had his heart swiftly removed by Killua, just like in the original scenario, securing victory in 2 more matches and advancing to the next set of challenges. They proceeded on a mine cart, navigating rail jumps, crossing a collapsing bridge, and sprinting through a hallway to escape a boulder, eventually reaching the test of resolve. The final choice was a majority decision on which path to take. They could opt for a short, easy path that would take a few minutes to complete but only allowed 3 to proceed, leaving the other 2 chained. The alternative was a longer path that would take a minimum of several hours to complete but allowed all 5 to proceed. They chose the longer path, valuing their friendship and having ample time to spare. It's been just over 26 hours since they embarked on the long path, so they should be finishing in about 19 hours, leaving them with approximately 6 hours to spare after completion. So far, they've completed numerous challenges, spending several hours in puzzle rooms and many more navigating traps and obstacles. I am planning to catch up with them and have a meaningful conversation with their group. Chapter 18. Through Nicholas's body, I speak up, forcing my voice through the strain of doing it for the first time. Hey, guys, it's Lucas. How are you all doing? The room goes completely still, the kind of stillness that makes your skin crawl. Then, like a dam breaking, questions hit me from all sides. Is that really you, Lucas? How are you talking through Nicholas? Wait, how? Yeah, it's me, I say, forcing my voice to sound normal, even if I'm not quite feeling it. Don't freak out, alright? I'm still in control. Just using his body for now. A beat of silence follows. The air feels thick with disbelief, but I can hear the relief starting to trickle in. They're beginning to believe me. Gon's voice cuts through the quiet. Whoa, this is crazy. Right? I say, trying to keep things light, but my hands are sweating. I know it sounds insane. But I can explain later. Right now, focus. You all have a course to survive. I can feel their eyes on me, trying to make sense of what I just said. They'll ask more later, I'm sure, but for now, they need to keep moving. They can't afford any distractions. We step into the dark corridor, and immediately, arrows shoot out from hidden dispensers, their sharp tips glinting in the faint light. I extend Nicholas's N, focusing hard. I can barely feel anything around compared to my own N's full range. Just 6 meters of N? Really? It's not much, but it's enough. Behind the walls, I spot them, hidden dispensers, their mechanisms ready to fire. Looks like we're not done dodging arrows, I say, my voice low. There's more ahead, behind the walls. We need to be quick. Leorio, slightly out of breath, frowns. You're controlling his body. That's insane, Lucas. I nod, my mind still working, pushing outwards, trying to keep track of what's ahead. It's not easy, but yeah, I can do it. Just focus, alright? I feel the wall shift in my mind, and I spot something, a way out. A metal slide, barely visible to the eye but clear as day in my head. It's about 10 meters down. That's their fastest chance. I found a way out, I say, pushing the words out quickly. There's a slide ahead, well, it's under the floor below us, about 10 meters. You can escape through that. Are you sure? Killua asks. I meet his gaze, my voice firm. Yeah, I'm sure. You've got no choice. Either that, or you can stay in these traps for another 18 hours. Nobody argues further. Still, they trust me enough to follow my lead. I stretch Nicholas's Nen to the limit, pushing it harder than before, forcing a shadow drill to emerge from the ground. The drill spins, tearing into the stone wall as if it's nothing, and I can feel Nicholas's energy start to drain. Go down the slide, I say through Nicholas's mouth, my voice tight with urgency. I'll meet you down there, and take Nicholas with you. Before anyone can ask what I mean, I pull my consciousness out of Nicholas's body. It's like the world pulls away from me, leaving me gasping. Once they slide down and pass through the door, the speaker crackles to life. Gon freaks, applicant number 405, is the 19th to pass. Killua Zoldyck, applicant number 99, is the 20th. Leorio Paradinite, applicant number 403, is the 21st. Kurapika, applicant number 404, is the 22nd. Nicholas, applicant number 187, is the 23rd. I step forward, the exhaustion from the conscious switch and controlling a body for the first time still weighing me down. But I can't let it show. Hey, there you are, Gon says, smiling at me with that wide, innocent grin of his, but his eyes are sharp. I was wondering how you'd manage with all that crazy stuff. I shrug it off, trying to seem casual. It wasn't pretty, but I pulled it off. Don't worry about it. We're good. Leorio crosses his arms, giving me a look that's half impressed, half skeptical. You seriously just took control of his body? That's kind of terrifying, Lucas. I laugh, but it's a nervous sound. Yeah, I guess. But hey, it worked, right? You all got out way faster, and now I have company to talk to for the next 24 hours. Kurapika tilts his head, studying me like he's trying to figure me out. You've always been a little unpredictable, but this is on another level. There's a pause as Gon looks at me, his eyes narrowing with curiosity. Finally, he asks, how did you take control of Nicholas's body? I look at them, each of their expressions mixed with curiosity and caution. I take a breath and let it out slowly, gathering my thoughts. I know it's a lot to process, and I'll explain everything. I exhale, leaning against the wall as I gather my thoughts. It's a skill I've learned over time. I can temporarily take over someone's body and move it like it's my own. I tap into their energy, their essence, whatever you want to call it, and use it to make their body do what I need. If you want, I can show you a few tricks when the exams finish. I glance at Nicholas, who's still recovering from the strain, and continue, it's not easy, though. It requires a lot of focus, and the person I take over has to have a certain amount of strength, I guess. Otherwise, it doesn't work very well. Kurapika's eyes widen, and he interrupts, asking, but you can still use your own abilities, right? Yeah, I say, nodding. I'm still in control of me. But using someone else's body limits what I can do. It's like trying to drive a car that's not yours. You get the feel for it, but it's not as smooth as when you're behind the wheel of your own. Gon's expression shifts. He's clearly thinking it over, weighing it in his mind until finally, smoke comes out of his ears, and he overloads from the stress of thinking in more than the second dimension. When Gon wakes up, he asks in a very childish tone, Lucas, if you can use that on anyone, can you try it on me so I can see where my mind goes when you do it? After I reply with no in a deadpan tone, our conversation stops, and we just stand there, the silence between us growing, the weight of the tension between candidates palpable. Once again, the speaker crackles to life, breaking the tension. The third phase of the exam is now over. 27 candidates passed, including one deceased. The door slides open, and we step through it, one by one, onto the next phase of the exam. Outside, a small man with a bright purple mohawk, dark sunglasses, and no eyebrows greets us with a wide grin. His voice booms over the open space. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations on surviving Trick Tower. The fourth and final phase awaits. This will take place on Zevil Island. Let's proceed. Draw lots. He's followed by a bald man in a yellow-green shirt, pushing a cart with a box that looks suspiciously ominous. We start to ask questions, but the purple-haired man silences us with a sharp gesture and that smile that never fades. These lots will decide who hunts and who is hunted, he says, his voice dripping with amusement. There are 26 cards. Each one matches your ID number. You'll draw in the order you exited the tower. Who's first? Hisoka steps up first, his usual calm demeanor unshaken. One by one, the others follow, drawing cards with an intensity that's hard to ignore. When it's my turn, I step forward, my hand steady despite the pounding in my chest while I'm wondering what would happen if I draw Gon or maybe Nicholas. I draw, and to my luck, the number on the card reads number 198. The purple-haired man explains, in his annoyingly energetic game host-sounding voice, the number you draw determines your prey. You need 6 points to pass. Your ID badge is worth 3 points, your prey's badge is worth 3 points, and every other player's ID is worth 1. Chapter 19. After Lipo finishes explaining the details about the fourth exam, we all board the large steamboat, its sleek body adorned with the unmistakable Hunter Association logo. The boat creaks under our collective weight, and I can already sense the tension in the air, even before we set sail. There's an uneasy stillness among the other contestants, everyone seems nervous, except for a few seasoned individuals, despite the calm waters surrounding us. It's clear that the real test is just beginning. I take a moment to observe the ship, the other contestants, and especially the woman standing at the front of the deck. Her presence is impossible to ignore, yellow eyes that seem to cut right through you, short red hair styled to appear intentionally messy, and oversized headphones partially concealed by her hair. She wears a white shirt under a yellow sweater, baggy red pants, and pink shoes. Both her sweater and headphones bear the Hunter Association logo. She introduces herself as Kara and wastes no time getting to the point. It will take about 2 hours to reach Zevil Island. All 26 contestants will receive an unconditional invitation to next year's exams, meaning that even if you fail, don't feel too bad, you can try again next year. Then she adds something that catches my attention: we're free to do whatever we want during the boat ride. No rules, no restrictions. That's 2 whole hours of freedom, and I'm not about to let it go to waste. I immediately set my sights on the Amori brothers. Approaching them with my usual casual confidence, I notice them stiffen as I near. At first, they act indifferent, brushing me off with cold stares, but I'm not one to be easily dismissed. I ask why they tried to bully Nicholas during the first stage of the exams, leaning in a bit closer, not giving them an escape route. The tension between us builds, and it doesn't take long for one of them to crack. Tunpa paid us, Amori mutters, glancing over his shoulder as if worried someone might overhear. His voice drops lower. He told us to take Nicholas out early for a few bucks. We thought it would be easy, so we agreed. Thanks, I say, giving a small nod of appreciation. Then, in one swift motion, I reach for their badges, 1, 2, and 3, and swipe them from under their noses. I execute the move so quickly and smoothly that they don't even register what happened. As I walk past Hanzo, I make sure to flash the badge labeled 197. I know he's watching, and sure enough, the moment his eyes land on the badge, they narrow, a sharp glint appearing in them. His gaze locks onto mine with cold intensity. He's sizing me up, already thinking about how to retrieve the badge from me. I keep walking, my mind racing as I scan the rest of the deck for Gon and Killua. I find them sitting together, talking quietly, heads bent close. I slide up next to them, my presence almost unnoticed at first. Soon, we start sharing the numbers we need to collect. Killua just shows his when I toss the 199 badge onto his lap, and a flash of surprise appears on his face. "Lucas," he says, his voice sharp with curiosity. He looks up at me, eyebrows raised. "How did you know I needed number 199? Before I can offer some slick explanation, Gon jumps in, his brow furrowed with concern. "Wait, Lucas," he says, his tone unsure. "Isn't it against the rules to take badges before we even get to the island?" I can't help but chuckle at Gon's earnestness. "Well, Gon," I say with a smirk, leaning back casually, "Kara didn't say we couldn't take badges. In fact, she said we could do whatever we wanted during the boat ride." I glance at Killua, who's still eyeing me with a mix of suspicion and respect. "As for you, Killua, I didn't know you needed 199. But when I grabbed my badge from Amori, I took the badges from both his brothers as well. Your prey was Amori." Killua's expression shifts, there's a flicker of respect, a silent acknowledgement that he's impressed, even if he doesn't show it outright. Gon, on the other hand, still looks uneasy, his brow furrowed with doubt. "But what if we get in trouble?" Gon protests, looking between me and Killua. I shrug, unfazed. "Gon, relax. We're on a boat, not the exam grounds. I think we're good. Besides, if anyone tries to call us out, we'll just play dumb. No one said we couldn't take badges early." Gon sighs, resigning to the logic of it all, even if he's not fully convinced. "I guess so." I stretch out my arms, exaggerated for effect, as I let out a massive yawn. "Anyway, you two are good to go. You've got your targets." I glance toward the horizon, my mind already shifting into a different gear. I think I'm feeling worn out after controlling Nicholas's body. I'll rest up when we get to the island. Catch you guys later. Killua doesn't bat an eye. Suit yourself. As the boat ride continues, I let my mind wander. I start thinking about Nicholas, his potential and the skills he could bring to the table. The kid's smart. Damn smart. I start running through scenarios in my head. If he makes it through the final phase of the exam, he could become an even more valuable asset to the family. His intellect alone sets him apart from the rest. I start picturing the kinds of Hatsu he could develop, something that lets him instantly process information and access any public knowledge without needing to look it up. Then I imagine him with an ability like Dog Man's from the Succession War arc, scanning people, assessing their strengths, weaknesses, and then affinities with a glance. Nicholas could be a recruiter, a strategist, someone who works behind the scenes, never needing to fight up close. His mind could be a valuable weapon. If he's willing to push his limits, he could even learn conjuration. It would take him time, sure, but if he can master it, he can create his own technology. By the time Evil Island comes into view, I've got 100 plans running through my mind. It's all about seeing how it plays out now. Kara's voice breaks through my thoughts abruptly. We've arrived at Evil Island. Disembark in the order you cleared the third phase. You'll be called out every 2 minutes. Stay on the island for 1 full week. Collect all 6 points. Then return here. Got it? Good. Begin. As Kara speaks, I activate my N at full range to sense where everyone is going after they leave the ship. As soon as Kara finishes the explanation, Hisoka steps off the ship, and Kara starts the 2-minute timer. Finally, after a considerable wait, it's my turn. I wave at Gon and Killua. Catch you later. As I step off the boat, I feel Hanzo's presence. I catch him trying to stay just out of sight, tailing me quietly. He's good, but not good enough. I can sense him, like a shadow at the edge of my vision. He's trying to stay hidden, but I already know where he is, and I have a plan, so the advantage is mine. Chapter 20. I step into a clearing near the beach, the salty wind rushing against my skin. The shade from the surrounding trees offers a welcome respite from the sun's heat. Closing my eyes, I let the cool breeze wash over me, the rhythmic crash of waves against the shore providing a soothing backdrop, until I hear it. A faint crunch of footsteps. He's here. Hanzo emerges from the shadows, his eyes sharp and scanning the area like a hawk. Just as depicted in the manga, focused, calculating, and dangerous, with a head reminiscent of an egg. His gaze locks onto me, piercing and assessing. It doesn't take long before he speaks. "You've got something I need," he says, his voice low and cold, like a blade poised to strike. I remain still, not acknowledging him immediately. Instead, my fingers graze the badge in my pocket, a subtle movement, but enough for him to notice. I can tell he sees it, and that's all I need. "I know," I reply calmly. "I know you need this to pass. But I've been thinking. Maybe there's a better way for you to get it." Hanzo's brow twitches slightly, a flicker of irritation quickly masked by his cool demeanor. "I'm not here to talk business," he responds, his tone hard and dismissive. I smile, amused. "Ah, but I think that's exactly what we're doing." I slide the badge from my coat pocket, flicking it between my fingers before holding it up for him to see. "I'm the head of a growing organization, and I could use someone like you." His eyes dart to the badge, then back to me. I can almost hear his thoughts turning, calculating, trying to determine if I'm serious. "I don't work with people like you," he says, disdain evident in his voice. "I'm a ninja, not a thug." I chuckle softly, shaking my head. "I think you misunderstand me, Hanzo." Taking a deliberate step toward him, I let the shift in my weight send a clear message. "I'm offering you something more, a position. You're strong, skilled, and resourceful. You'd be an asset to my organization." I meet his gaze, holding it steady. "In exchange for your service, you can have the badge, and I'll teach you techniques to make you stronger. Far stronger than you are right now." For a moment, Hanzo looks like he might refuse outright, his pride too thick to consider my offer. But then I see it, the hunger in his eyes. The same hunger that led him to pursue a hunter's license in the first place. He wants to be stronger and learn more techniques. His jaw tightens, the pride of a ninja not easily shaken. "I'm not a thug. I'm a proud cloud-hidden ninja." I shrug, feigning indifference. "Pride won't save you, Hanzo. It'll get you killed. The air in the forest clearing grows thick, as if the trees themselves are holding their breath. The distant sound of the waves fades into the background, replaced by the pulse of our breathing. Hanzo stands across from me, his eyes sharp and calculating, but I can tell there's doubt creeping in. I take a deliberate step back, then another, feeling the damp earth shift beneath my feet. The scent of salt and pine needles clings to the air. Sunlight filters through the canopy above, casting a patchwork of light and shadow across the clearing, but all I can focus on is Hanzo. I see it in his eyes, a flicker of hesitation. His stance wavers, even if only for a moment, but that's all I need. Without warning, I close the distance between us in the blink of an eye. Hanzo reacts instantly, his instincts are sharp, but they're too slow. I can almost feel his breath catch as I land a quick strike to his side. It's precise, and the sound of my fist connecting with his ribs echoes through the clearing. He stumbles back, gasping for air, but before he can register what's happened, I'm already on him again. My fist drives into his shoulder with brutal force, followed by a swift, powerful kick to his leg that sends him crashing back against a tree, the bark splintering upon impact. He groans, a look of surprise flickering across his face, but I'm not surprised. His pride might keep him fighting, but his body tells me everything I need to know. He's already in over his head. Is this all you've got? I murmur, my voice barely more than a whisper, but it carries the weight of certainty. I see a brief flash of anger in his eyes, so I continue mocking him. If this is all you've got, then I might as well kill you and move on with my life. Even if you joined the organization, you'd be the weakest member. Now he's angry. In his rage-blinded state, he tries to retaliate, throwing a quick punch. It's fast but sloppy, and I easily sidestep, letting his attack sail harmlessly past me. I respond in kind, landing a sharp elbow to his ribs. The force behind it knocks the wind out of him, and his legs give way for a moment. He's slowing down, getting sloppy in his angered state. I move with fluid precision, never hesitating, never breaking my rhythm. Every strike lands with purpose, each one more calculated than the last. I feel the tension in his body as he tries to regroup, but it's futile. The forest clearing is quiet, except for the sound of my strikes and the dull thud of Hanzo's body hitting the ground. He tries to regain his footing, but his knees buckle again as I land a roundhouse kick to his side, sending him sprawling onto the soft earth. He's gasping for air now, his chest heaving, face contorted with pain. I step forward, keeping him pinned with my presence. He scrambles to push himself up, but I'm already on top of him. My knee presses into his chest, keeping him firmly in place. With one swift motion, I catch his wrist, applying just enough pressure to keep him from trying anything. His eyes widen in disbelief, but it's too late for him. The moment we started fighting, he had already lost. The shadows around me respond as I focus. The trees and underbrush fade into the background. My shadow stretches out, wrapping around his legs. The shadow binds him with inescapable force, rendering him immobile. Hanzo struggles, but the more he moves, the tighter it becomes. It's almost laughable how futile his resistance is. I can see the panic rising in his eyes, but it's too late. The fight is over, his will is already broken. He's gasping, his movements jerky and disjointed, as if his body refuses to cooperate. Still trying to fight? I ask, my tone almost patronizing. It's over, Hanzo. You've lost. Join me or die. I don't even need to look at him to know I've already won. With a mere thought, I summon a shadow phantom. It materializes beside me, as fluid and smooth as a shadow. I direct it to his torso, and it moves with the speed of thought, lifting him off the ground with effortless ease. Hanzo's eyes widen in shock as the phantom tosses him back down with bone-shaking force. He hits the ground hard enough that the earth beneath him trembles. I feel no satisfaction, no thrill. It's just a matter of time now. He's already finished. Leaning down, I keep my knee pressed to his chest, my gaze cold. You've chosen without even knowing it, to join my organization or die, I say quietly, my voice full of certainty. The moment you stepped into this clearing, your fate was sealed. Chapter 21. This is one of my many abilities. It's called Thread of Fate, I say, extending my hand as a thin, unbreakable thread unfurls from my finger. When I use it, I must explain its mechanics to the person I intend to bind. So here it is, I can create a contract with anyone I choose to place the thread on. They must agree to the contract, otherwise, I can't apply the ability. Once the thread is attached, I can control their body and establish a telepathic link with their mind. The contract I'm offering is as follows: you must join my family and remain loyal to me. If you betray me, the thread will alert me, and you will be torn apart from the inside in a very painful process. This will occur over 4 hours, leaving you unrecognizable by the end. However, if you stay loyal, you will become a top member of my organization, and I will make you stronger. Once you obtain a hunter license, you will be tasked with infiltrating the Cloud Village to steal the Hermit Scroll when I deem you ready. Do you agree, Hanzo? By the way, refusal means death. He responds in a blank tone, devoid of emotion. Do I have a choice? His chest heaves as he struggles to catch his breath. Sweat drips from his forehead. He looks utterly defeated, as if someone killed his cat. Why? Hanzo mutters, a mix of anger and confusion in his voice. Why offer me a job when you could just kill me and avoid the trouble? I lean in close, our faces inches apart, and say, because you have potential, Hanzo. For a long moment, Hanzo stares at me, as if trying to process my words. Then, slowly, his eyes regain focus, and he seems to accept his situation. His shoulders slump, the weight of defeat settling over him. He knows he's out of options. Fine, he mutters, his voice filled with quiet anger and a hint of resignation. I accept your contract. I smile, placing the finger with the thread against his chest for dramatic effect. The thread penetrates his skin effortlessly, weaving through his body. As it reaches his brain, I inject my nen, unlocking his aura nodes. Stepping back and releasing his wrist, I say, good choice, Hanzo. You won't regret it, watching him shudder from the sensation of his aura nodes being forcibly opened. After regaining his composure and full body movement, Hanzo pushes himself to his feet, rubbing his wrist. I see the change in him. He's already processing the decision, understanding the weight of what he's agreed to. I toss the badge at his chest, and he catches it by instinct alone. His choice is made, and he knows what it means. By the way, Hanzo, as a gift for joining the family, I open your aura nodes so you can use Nen now. Hanzo looks at me, confused, his eyes silently asking, what does that mean? I step back, a small smile creeping across my face. Nen is the ability to manipulate one's own aura. Every living being has aura inside them, and with it, you can do things you never thought possible. His gaze sharpens, but he's still unsure. Okay, but how do I use it? What does it even do? I tilt my head slightly, choosing my words carefully. Nen is a force that connects everything in this world, everything alive. It's a power tied to your very being. But to use it, you need to understand how to control it. He glances down at the badge in his hand again. I can see the wheels turning in his head. His confusion is turning to frustration, and I know I need to help him see beyond that. To control your aura, first, you have to learn how to feel it, I say, watching him intently. It's not about thinking, it's about becoming aware. Let me explain. I take a step closer, my tone turning more serious. I've unlocked your aura, and currently, it's leaking out of you like a fountain. The first thing you need to learn is Ten. It's a basic Nen technique that's fundamental for controlling your aura. But it's not just a way of controlling your aura, it's a shield around you that protects you from others' Nen. With Ten, you create that shield. It keeps you protected from outside influences and from losing control of your own nen. It functions kind of like a cell membrane. I can tell he's struggling to grasp it, so I soften my voice a little. Think of it like a force field. You're creating a protective layer of your own life force. At first, it's going to feel strange. You might not even notice it until you really focus hard. I watch as he rubs his chest, clearly trying to figure out what to do next. So, what now? He asks, frustration lining his voice. How do I control it? I step back and hold up my hand, palm facing him. I conjure a ball made of pure aura, hovering just above my skin. Hanzo's eyes widen at the sight of it. This is what nen looks like when it's manifested outside the body. Hanzo watches, transfixed by the ball. I continue, you can do this too now, you just need to learn how. Let's start simple. I take a deep breath, focusing. I want you to close your eyes, Hanzo. Focus on your chest, where your aura is, and control it. Don't think too hard. Just feel the energy and go with the flow for now. I can see him trying, his expression tense with concentration. After a moment, his chest rises and falls more evenly, like he's beginning to settle into the rhythm of it. Slowly, his face relaxes, and I can tell he's starting to feel something. Good, I say, my tone encouraging. Now, stop the flow completely and control the aura to stay in a thin layer around your body. Picture it like an invisible bubble around you. It's not hard, just breathe into it. Let it stretch and surround you. I watch closely. At first, nothing happens. Then, slowly, the faintest white shimmer appears around him. His aura starts to take shape, a thin outline just above his skin. He opens his eyes, and I see a spark of recognition in them. I feel it, Hanzo says, his voice quieter now, but full of awe. It's like I can feel the air around me more clearly. My skin, my body. It's all connected. I nod, impressed with his progress. That's the first step. You've grasped the concept, and that's the foundation. Now you just need to build on it. You'll need to practice, to feel it more, to strengthen it. The more you practice, the more control you'll have, and the less aura will leak out. Hanzo stands a little taller now, his aura steady around him. It's a subtle thing, but I can tell he's beginning to understand. So, this is just the beginning of 10. He asks, the frustration from before now replaced with determination. I smile, watching him. Exactly. You've unlocked the basics of the first ability I'm going to teach you. But trust me, now that you've got nen, the path to what a normal person would consider strength is far easier. He nods slowly, processing the weight of it all. All right, he says, the decision settling over him like a cloak. I'll keep training. I won't fail. I throw him a small smirk. Good. Because the world's full of people who already know nen and masters who can control it to an unfathomable degree. We stand in silence for a moment, the sound of the waves crashing in the background, both of us fully aware that this is just the start of a much larger journey. Hanzo hums with potential, and the ability he's just unlocked will be only the beginning of his training. Quick break time again, hunters. Sue the YouTube gods doesn't get mad. Anyway. Did you know, Leorio's name comes from Leo, the zodiac sign for lions. He was meant to have a big-hearted older brother personality. Let's keep going. Chapter 22. The relentless wind carries the scent of the ocean as waves crash against the shore, echoing through the empty expanse. 5 days have passed since Hanzo began his nen training. In that time, he's managed to grasp the theory behind even complex techniques and attain a rudimentary control over 10. His training has been brutal. The sun beats down on us, the heat pressing in from every direction, while the suffocating humidity adds weight to every breath. The beach, unforgiving and isolated, has become his crucible. Hanzo stands across from me, sweat dripping down his face and neck, his muscles trembling from exertion. He's been pushing himself hard, but the results remain erratic. I watch as he struggles again, trying to maintain control over his 10, attempting to hold his aura steady. His body shudders, and I catch the faintest shimmer around him, a desperate, uncontrolled flicker of energy that flares out before he can stabilize it. "You're wasting too much energy," I call out, my voice cutting through the wind. "Focus. Compress it around yourself. Once you can hold it perfectly for over 2 hours, we can move on to other matters." His chest rises and falls rapidly, his breath heavy. His brow furrows in frustration, but he doesn't speak. The silence between us is thick, filled with the sound of his efforts and the occasional crash of waves. I know this is hard for him. It's been only 5 days, and his body isn't used to Nen yet. But it's too late for him to go back now. I watch him for a moment longer, then step forward. "Your aura isn't just a barrier, Hanzo. It's your life force. Everything you are flows through it. Treat it like an extension of yourself, but let it move naturally, like the tide of the ocean. Then compress it, as if you're putting the water from the tide into a glass, naturally molding to the shape it's in." Hanzo's jaw tightens. He closes his eyes, focusing intently, trying to shut everything else out. His hands shake as he holds them forward, aura seeping out like a thin mist. He's trying, but his control is still lacking. I can see the strain in his posture, the frustration eating at him. "Focus on the center of your chest," I instruct. "Find your core and pull the energy there. Your aura is scattered. Tighten it up. Then compress it." He nods, but I see the uncertainty in his movements. For the last 5 days, I've had him practice 10 for hours on end. It's the first and most basic step, but it's exhausting. I know his body aches from the constant strain, and the heat of the sun does nothing to help. But this is something that can't be rushed. He needs a solid foundation to build on. His body trembles harder now, his eyes clenched shut as he battles to contain his energy. Then, something shifts. The aura leaking out of him forms a faint glimmer around him. He manages to hold it for several minutes before some of it escapes and dissipates into the air in a shimmer. He regains control shortly after and resumes holding 10. "That's it," I say, nodding. "Now hold it in. Don't let any of it go." He struggles for a while longer before the shimmer fades into the air, and with it, his aura. He drops to his knees, panting heavily, sweat pouring down his face. I see how physically drained he is, and how the weight of the training is beginning to take its toll. I'm not done with him yet. "Get up," I command, my tone firm but not unkind. "We're not stopping until you master this." I'm pushing him hard, but being a ninja, he's almost certainly gone through worse. For the next few hours, we continue. Every time Hanzo falters, I push him to keep going. His energy is spent, his mind clouded with fatigue, but he keeps going. He's like a blade being hammered into shape. By the time the sun is low in the sky, Hanzo is barely standing, his chest heaving as he tries to regain his composure. But there's a subtle change in the way he carries himself. His aura, while still weak, is more stable and controlled. He's no longer just going with the natural flow of his aura, he's starting to control it. I take a step back, giving him a moment to breathe. His body is drenched in sweat, and the exhaustion on his face is unmistakable. But I can see it in his eyes. He's not giving up. He's still here. He's still trying. And that's what matters. "Good," I say finally, breaking the silence. "You're getting there." Hanzo doesn't speak, but I see him nod slightly, his hands clenched into fists as he steadies his breath. He's learning. His body is battered, but his spirit is unbroken. When nightfall hits, I make a fishing rod from shadows and catch a few fish for us to eat before going to sleep. Today, we take a rest from 10 and start working on controlling his Zetsu to the utmost extent until he can control and for 10 minutes. Hanzo is still struggling to find a rhythm with 10, but I know we don't have much time. The end of the exam is coming up, and after that is one-on-ones. He needs rest from the strain of the week, and there's no better way to train while resting than working on Zetsu. In is the next step, I explain as he sits on the ground. After you master Zetsu, when you can completely hide your aura signature, it's called in. He tries again, his aura flickering weakly around him. I step back and watch him. Don't let the energy flow out of you. If there's even a trace of aura picked up with Gyo or En, you failed. It's a constant battle. His body aches from yesterday, but I see him pushing back against the tide of aura trying to escape his body. His aura signature gets smaller, faster at first, then slower as the aura starts piling up and pushing outward with greater force. Watching him carefully, I say, push harder. Don't think. Just suppress it as far as you can and hold it there. After another grueling hour, Hanzo manages to keep his aura completely caged for a few moments, then a little longer. When I tell him to release his aura after he finally hits the 10-minute goal I set for him, it bursts around him, pulsing with life. I can see the tension ease from his body. Since he met the goal within, we finish the day with some light Gyo practice. You're done for today, I say, my voice softer than before. Rest. Tomorrow, we move to meet some friends of mine. He nods silently, his breath ragged but steady. He's exhausted. The next step in his training will be even harder. But for now, this brief moment of success is enough. 5 days. That's all it's taken. And already, Hanzo is starting to change. His body may be exhausted, but his will is still unyielding. I glance out at the ocean, the waves crashing on the shore as the sun sets on another grueling day of training. This is just the beginning. The road ahead is long, but Hanzo has already taken his first steps to be a key in some of my future plans. Chapter 23. I activate N at full range as we walk through the starting point of Zevil Island, searching for the rest of the group. As we proceed, our conversation shifts to Hanzo's training. So, how many more abilities are there to Nen? Hanzo asks, his voice full of curiosity. I glance at him. There are 7 principles you haven't even touched yet, and 1 that's exclusive to me. In total, there are 4 basic ones, 4 intermediate ones, and 3 advanced principles, plus a whole bunch of other details I haven't gotten around to explaining yet. 11? Hanzo practically shouts in surprise. Yep, I reply with a smirk. Wanna hear about them while we walk? Sure, he says, eager to learn. Alright, so you've got a decent grasp of 10, Zetsu, Gyo, and In, but there are 7 more that you haven't heard of yet. Ren and Hatsu are basic techniques. Shu and En are on the same level as Gyo and In, so they are intermediate, and then Ko, Ken, and Ryu are all advanced techniques. Okay, but can you explain them in simpler terms? Hanzo asks, looking at me like he's trying to wrap his head around it all. Of course. Let's start with the basics. You know that 10 is about letting your aura flow gently outside your body, right? Hanzo nods. Well, Ren is a step up from that. It's like releasing your aura explosively, pushing it outwards. You can send it into the air, objects, plants, animals, even people. In fact, the way I unlocked your aura was by injecting my own aura into your body with pinpoint precision. Wait, the way you unlocked my aura? Are there more ways than one to unlock somebody's aura? Hanzo asks, confusion creeping into his voice. Normally, a student has to learn how to open and close their aura nodes gradually through meditation, controlling the flow of their aura over time. It's slow but safe. What I did to you is called Cho, and it is a fast and risky method. I forced your aura nodes open with a quick burst of energy. It's not the usual way, and most Nen instructors dislike it because of the danger it poses if you don't know what you're doing. But don't worry, I'm good at it, so there was no danger posed. Hanzo pauses, a little worried. So, if there was no danger posed, why do most instructors not use it? It only took a few seconds. Well, Hanzo, if there is even a little malicious intent, the receiving party could be burst apart and die. And if someone who can't control their aura yet has it used on them, they could burn out or suffer from aura leakage, exhausting themselves. But if you're a prodigy, you catch on quickly and learn how to control it. Wait, did you know I was a prodigy before you did that to me? Hanzo half yells, his eyes wide. I chuckle. I had an inkling. And even if I didn't, I taught you how to control your aura with 10, so you would be fine. Hanzo looks relieved, nodding. Alright, moving on. Hatsu is where things get interesting. It's the way you project your aura to carry out a certain function, also commonly known as creating a Nen ability. For example, my string of fate lets me use my aura to form a string that binds contracts and enforces them. Okay, that makes sense, Hanzo says, nodding in understanding. Good, I continue. Now, Shu is an advanced form of 10. It lets you wrap your aura around an object, turning it into an extension of your body. For example, I could use Shu to surround a weapon with my aura, strengthening it and protecting it. Can I use Shu on my body or clothes to protect myself? Exactly, I reply. That's called Ken. It's a mix of Ren and Ten, and you can train to use it once you're able to maintain Ren for a long time. To use it, you must surround yourself in an aura bubble that's about 10 times as strong as the aura output of 10, so you've got a ways to go before you're ready for that. Hanzo is clearly soaking it all in. And N? You mentioned that one too. N is another advanced technique. With Ren, your aura usually only surrounds you in a small radius, but N lets you extend that aura way further. It's like you're wrapping your aura around a bigger space. I can extend mine to 135 meters, which is far more than most. Anything within that space can be sensed, as long as it has an aura output. But if someone's using N, they can hide from it. I've also created another version of N that combines N with Shu to create an ability called Echo. By injecting my aura into everything my N touches, I can see everything inside my range. Wait, you made your own technique? Hanzo's voice is full of disbelief. How long have you been training Nen for? Since birth, I reply, grinning. You know, just regular stuff. Hanzo looks at me nostalgically. Anyway, I continue, Ko is the next one. It combines Ten, Zetsu, Hatsu, Ren, and Gyo. Basically, you concentrate all your aura into one part of your body, making it incredibly powerful while leaving the rest of you vulnerable. Gyo focuses your aura on a specific body part, Ten keeps it contained, Zetsu stops the flow of aura elsewhere, Ren amps up the power, and Hatsu lets you use your aura to carry out the function of combining it all to create a crazy powerful impact. Of course, it can be more powerful if you're a natural enhancer or if you use more aura into the attack. As I go off on a tangent, I notice Hanzo's brow furrowing progressively until he finally interrupts me, asking, "What's an enhancer?" "Oh. Don't worry about that right now," I say, suddenly sensing the group of 4 we've been searching for. I think I've found the group. I start sprinting, with Hanzo quickly following. So, what about the last one? You said there were 7 you haven't explained, but you only gave me 6. I grin, picking up speed. Don't worry, Hanzo. We'll go over Ryu another time. Chapter 24. We push through the last stretch of foliage, and the clearing opens up ahead. The group's gathered in a small camp, and the moment they spot us, they stand up in unison. Killua, lounging lazily against a tree, is the first to speak. Took you long enough, he says, but there's a grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. Leorio, sitting on a rock and flipping his knife, looks up and waves. Thought we were gonna have to come looking for you. Kurapika stands a little apart from the rest, arms crossed, his sharp gaze scanning the area, always alert, always on the lookout. His eyes fall on Hanzo, and I can tell he's assessing him, though he says nothing. Nicholas, being the big back he is, stands by the campfire, his gaze steady on the cooking food, Hey, guys. I call out, waving as I close the distance. Killua grins. I was starting to think you got lost. Leorio chuckles, shaking his head. Nah, just keeping us in suspense, huh? Yeah, well, I had a bit of business to take care of, I say, glancing at Hanzo. But I brought someone along. Hanzo hesitates for a moment, clearly not used to all the attention. He steps forward, his hands awkwardly at his sides. Hey. I'm Hanzo, he says, offering a small wave. The group exchanges looks, trying to make sense of the situation. Nicholas stands up from the fire, his voice quiet but warm. Nice to meet you, Hanzo. I'm Nicholas. Hanzo looks at Nicholas, then at the others. Nice to meet you all too. Leorio grins and stretches out a hand. We're all pretty normal here, don't worry about it. Just no funny business, alright? Hanzo laughs nervously and shakes Leorio's hand. No funny business, I promise. Kurapika steps forward, his expression unreadable as always. His eyes narrow slightly as he examines Hanzo. So, you're traveling with Lucas now. What's your story, Hanzo? Story? Hanzo's mood instantly changes, and he somehow transforms from shy to a full-on, yelling anime protagonist in a matter of seconds. I was born in Japan and trained since birth. I have never broken training in 18 years. I decided to attend this year's hunter exam to get a hunter license so I can find the Hermit's Scroll, which, according to rumors, is located in a country barred to commoners. I am a Jonin of the Cloud Village. Hanzo yells excitedly, pulling out his Cloud Village Jonin card. The group falls into a brief silence, processing Hanzo's sudden outburst. I watch as Killua raises an eyebrow, clearly intrigued but doing his best to stifle a grin. Leorio's mouth hangs open, and he stares at Hanzo like he's trying to piece together whether he's serious or just messing with them. Kurapika stays the same, his posture stiff, arms crossed. His eyes flick over Hanzo, as sharp as ever, but he doesn't speak immediately, as if he's waiting for something more. Nicholas, on the other hand, simply looks up from the fire, his gaze steady as he watches Hanzo with quiet interest. Cloud Village Jonin, huh? Killua finally breaks the silence, leaning forward against the tree with a smirk. Despite Hanzo's somewhat clumsy introduction, I can tell he's trying to find his place among us. Kurapika's voice breaks through the laughter, calm and measured, but with a touch of skepticism. A Jonin of the Cloud Village, and you've decided to take the hunter exam? Interesting. He pauses, his gaze narrowing slightly as he studies Hanzo. I'll be watching closely. Hanzo nods enthusiastically, though there's a slight wobble to his confidence. I know. I'm ready for whatever challenges come my way. I've been trained for this. His eyes light up, and for a moment, it's hard not to feel like he believes every word. I glance over at Kurapika, sensing the tension in the air. He doesn't trust easily, and that's something I understand. Alright, enough with the grand speeches for now, I say, trying to redirect the mood. I know Killua, Hanzo, and I all have enough points to pass. Have you found your targets yet? Yeah, everyone except Leorio has the points we need, plus we have 2 badges that are worth 1 point to any of us, Kurapika responds. We ran into Tunpa and a guy with a monkey. After Killua knocked them out, we interrogated Tunpa and learned that my target is a girl named Panzu. She's one of the remaining examinees who uses chemical weapons. Apparently, she uses a variety of toxins and waits for her prey to fall into the trap she has set, Leorio explains. Okay, that's good, you know who she is. But do you know where she is? Also, where is Gon? I ask, pretending not to know the answer to either question. Gon went off to find Hisako by himself. I asked to join, but he said it would be better if he went alone, so I came and teamed up with these guys, Killua quickly states with a serious face. Just as Killua finishes his sentence, Gon jumps down from a tree, surprising everybody, myself included. Kurapika asks, Gon, do you have all the points you need? Gon replies, yeah, how about you all? Leorio yells, wait, what? So I'm the only one without enough points to pass? Yeah, I guess, Killua says while punching Leorio's shoulder playfully. As we catch Gon up on what's happening, we walk to a high point, having Gon track the smell of the chemicals Ponzu uses. Once we find the cave, I quickly search with N and Echo, informing everybody that the cave is probably a trap and that there are snakes all over it. Should've known Ponzu wouldn't make things easy, Killua says, his eyes glinting with a hint of excitement. Kurapika looks around at the group, his posture as unshakable as always. We have to be careful. The toxins could affect any of us if we're not prepared. Gon, ever the optimist, grins. We'll handle it. We've gotten through worse, right? We all start to cautiously approach the mouth of the cave. The ground beneath our feet is rough, with craggy rocks jutting out from the earth. I extend Echo again, sweeping it out into the cave, trying to feel for any signs of unexpected changes from the original story. We walk closer to the mouth of the cave, the tap of feet against hard stone evident in the silence. The cave feels colder the deeper we go, the air thick and damp, almost suffocating. I lead the group around a bend and into the main cave. Bourbon is sitting dead at the back wall of the cave, while Ponzu is sitting in the corner. She looks up at us, her eyes wide with confusion, maybe fear. Her gaze shifts between us, curiously. Are you here for my badge or for shelter? She asks, her voice rough, strained. Your badge. So hand it over, Leorio quickly and aggressively states. Well, it doesn't matter anyway since there is no possible way to escape this cave for any of us, Ponzu states like it's a fact. In fact, Ponzu, there is a way for all of us to get out of the cave and for you to pass. You see, we happen to have 2 badges of no worth to us, so if you agree to do me a favor after we escape, I can give you Bourbon's badge and the 2 1-pointers in our possession. Ponzu hums in thought, a pondering look on her face, before asking, well, it depends if your plan for getting out is stable and what it is I would need to do as a favor for you. Chapter 25. I step toward a rock on the ground, releasing a surge of malicious ren that stuns the snakes into stillness. The sight of them slithering from Bourbon's cloak and the cave walls sends a wave of disgust through me, so slimy and unsettling. My eyes dart around, locking onto the glowing lantern hanging in front of him. I grab the rock and flick it, aiming straight for the center. The impact shatters the glass, plunging us into pitch-black darkness. The sudden switch to darkness makes Ponzu scream, a sharp sound of panic in the silence. As she screams, I waste no time. A shadow forms around Ponzu, creating a protective barrier to keep her bees from attacking in the chaos. Another tendril shoots out, wrapping around Bourbon's badge and stealing it before crushing his body in shadows along with the wall behind him. Then, I focus on the other walls. I press down with significant strength, shattering the cave and driving the snakes into the rock until they are all dead with no place to hide, just a smooth cave. When it's over, I release the shadows. The cave trembles violently, rocks and pebbles raining down from above. I can feel the collapse coming, and just as a rock nearly hits Leorio in the head, a shadow dome surrounds us. I start reinforcing it with Shu as the tremors escalate. When the shaking finally stops, I let the dome drop, light flooding back into the space, blinding us all for a moment. I blink rapidly, adjusting, and survey the scene. The silence feels thick, the air heavy with disbelief. Then, Leorio's voice rips through it, full of confusion and awe. What the hell just happened? His eyes dart around, taking in the wreckage. We were just in a cave, and now we're out here? What did you do? What just happened? Gon's buzzing with excitement, his voice wide-eyed. That was amazing. You made the whole cave collapse on itself. And then bam! We're outside, and the cave is gone. YouTube.com. +9. Gamerant.com. +9. AminoApps.com. +9. I try not to grin at Gon's enthusiasm, but it's hard to keep my face neutral. It didn't just disappear, Gon, I say in what I hope is a deadpan tone, looking around at the mess I caused, rubble all over the ground from the cave's collapse. Kurapika steps forward, eyes sharp, his gaze cutting through the tension. You didn't just make it fall apart. You controlled it. We weren't hit by anything, even though we were all in there. How? He observes, his tone calm but probing. I take a breath, the weight of it settling in. I'll explain after the hunter exam, I say, though a flicker of uncertainty nags at me. Also, Ponzu, here's your trade. Ponzu's voice is quieter than usual, still shaken. I was so scared. 1 minute, I'm surrounded by snakes, and everything's dark. The next, everything's gone. It's like you controlled the whole cave. Her eyes are wide, still struggling to process. But how? I glance at her, shaking my head slightly. I'll explain later. Killua, who's been quiet until now, turns to me, his eyes intense, almost challenging. His gaze locks on mine, and my heart picks up pace. That whole time, I felt an aura. Like the one around my older brother. What was that? I meet his eyes, sensing the undercurrent of anger and confusion beneath his calm exterior. You'll know when the time's right, I say, my voice unwavering. Leorio mutters, still in disbelief. Yeah, but that was crazy. 1 minute we're in a cave, the next we're outside, and it's all around us. I can't even begin to figure out how you did that. Hanzo's calm voice slices through the disarray. It was efficient. But dangerous, he comments, his tone steady, though there's a glint of something, excitement. He leans closer, lowering his voice. I tried using the concept of that end technique when everything went dark. And I think I felt your aura. Did you make a Nen barrier around us? I meet his gaze, nodding. Something like that. I'll show you later. Ponzu, still trying to make sense of everything, looks at me, her expression softer now, tinged with gratitude. Thank you. For protecting me and my bees, she says, her voice quiet but sincere. I wasn't sure what was happening, but I'm glad you got us out without anyone getting hurt. I nod in acknowledgement, but it feels heavy. I can tell they're looking at me differently now. It's not just awe in their eyes anymore. It's something else, respect, maybe. They see me as someone capable of things they don't fully understand, and maybe that's a good thing. Ponzu definitely sees me differently now, and while the others aren't as visibly shaken, some from seeing me control shadows already and one from knowing of Nen, I know they're processing this in their own way. The air is thick with unspoken thoughts, but we've made it out. The snakes are dead, the cave is a heap of rubble, and we're safe. Let's go, I say, breaking the silence. The danger's past, but we can't stay here. The commotion may wake a sleeping beast. They nod, and I can feel their eyes on me. They don't need to ask questions. They get it. We've survived the trap, and now they know when I'm around, there's almost nothing to fear. As we start walking, I feel their gazes following me, each of them, watching closely. It's been a day, and we've finally reached the starting point. While we wait, we hunt and talk. We spot Shishito, an applicant trying to ambush anyone who approaches to collect points. He doesn't stand a chance, and Ponzu takes him down easily with her neurotoxin bees, adding another badge to her tally. Everyone has 6 points now. The boat finally arrives, and Kara checks our badges, making sure each of us has the required points, ending the 4th exam with 12 examinees. We board the boat and wait for what is bound to be in store for the 5th and hopefully final exam,